Okay, good. It didn't repeat because I thought it started to repeat and it didn't. Thank gosh, man. Welcome back, everybody. It's your pal Orange Hat here with the Fellowship of the Orange Hat. And we are here to discuss the Return of the King. Let me just get my talking points up here. And we are still waiting on Kate, so we're just going to do some intros first and hope she makes it in time. She's stuck in traffic. Women usually always are. So how's everybody doing? Skyhound, how you doing?
I'm going to tell you said that.
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
No, she knows. Alrighty, I'm doing good. Ambassador, how you doing?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
All right, good to know. And well, me
and even
folks,
the trees walked in this movie.
Yes, they did. And hello, Darth Zathra. Good to see you. Always a pleasure, Atlanta. And we are still waiting for Kate, so we are going to cover something that we forgot to cover
I'll try to take it from
yesterday.
So the part that I forgot to mention last time, it had to do with the skull on the axe, right when it came down to the tally.
Yeah.
And then Legolas is like, final count, 42. 42. Wow, that's not so bad for pointy-eared elvish princeling. I myself am sitting pretty on 43. He fires an arrow.
43.
He was already dead. He was twitching. He was twitching because I got my axe embedded in his nervous system.
And I love how he grabs it and starts twitching it. Yeah. No, he's got
embedded in his... Here's the thing I don't get. This is like the Middle Ages. How do they have a comprehension and understanding of the central nervous system? It makes no sense.
Well, of course, it was not in the book, but it was still funny as hell. And by the way, when he was writing that, I believe that was still a term they actually still had even back then. I mean, yes, it doesn't make sense, but you know what? It's still fun because I love it. He's like, he was twitching. He was twitching. And then I love that little pause. He was twitching because he's got my axe embedded in his nervous system, and he's jerking the handle, and you see the freaking orc just jerking and twitching.
He's not an orc; it's an uruk.
Whatever. And
no, whatever. It's not an orc; it's an urukai.
Don't start with that, otherwise I'll boo you. I'm joking.
Fine.
Anyway, but yeah. So that's the bit we forgot, folks. From all right, and it was the funniest part of the whole movie, arguably the funniest part.
The fact that I forgot to bring it up and then I mentioned it like after we were done, I was like, "You idiot! You forgot something, didn't you?" And I was like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, and then also Friday when I started my other one, folks. Holy crap! I was doing the Wolfman with my buddy NB Geeks, and I hit the live button, and it didn't go live. So me and him are talking for like 8 minutes about the film for everybody, and nothing freaking happened. It's like, oh my God, we have to stop. We never went live. And it's like, oh my gosh. But anyway, let's say hello to the chat. We got Darth Zathra. Good to see you. Hi. And for Frodo. Yes, indeed. And also this movie was also dedicated to a New Zealander, a young filmmaker, unfortunately, who had brain cancer.
Mm-hmm. And that's how the song Into the West came to be.
Yep. They actually put it into his movie as well. And it was such a touching, I mean, I saw they actually, as part of the special features, allow you to watch those movies all the way through, which is pretty fun. Mm-hmm. Now, before we do get into the meat of it, because I'm giving Kate as much time as I can here, Nerd with a Cigar. Did you guys see the interview with Dominic Monaghan interviewing Elijah Wood? And Dominic Monaghan wasn't on camera. He was this German interviewer, and he's freaking interviewing Elijah Wood, just asking him all sorts of questions. Do you wear wigs? Will you wear wigs? Are you going to wear the wigs? and all sorts of other funny shit. He's like, also that dolphin from that movie Flipper you did, yeah, it died now. And it's like, oh my God. And he actually riled up Elijah Wood pretty well. It was a pretty good one.
You know, they mentioned about it. I did actually watch the clip of that MTV Gollum thing a few days ago. Oh my gosh. I almost fell out of my chair laughing.
You watched the MTV one?
Yes.
Yeah, it is freaking hilarious. What were you going to say, Ambassador?
One thing, it's a spinoff from, or not a spinoff, but it's a reference in another movie to these movies. I love these movies to death, but I love the argument between Randall and the Rings geek in Clerks 2. I love that scene to death.
Never seen it. So
here's the first movie.
Yeah.
What about you, Skyhat? Have you ever seen Clerks 2?
Heard of it by title, haven't had a chance to watch it.
Never saw it, so sorry.
It's one of the Kevin Smith's View Askew movies. In the chat, if any of you have seen Clerks 2 and know of the scene I'm talking about, it is funny as hell. You've got this one customer that comes into the movies, and Elias is working the cash register, and the customer gets an order of onion rings, and Elias says, "One ring to rule them all." And the customer, the ring geek, is like, "One ring to find them," and they quote the whole thing, and Randall's like, "Oh dear God, what's happened to this world?" And he goes into this absolutely epic rant. He's like, "Okay, first thing, there is only one return, and it's of the Jedi, not the King." And he's like, "These 3 movies are about people walking to a freaking volcano. And even the trees freaking walk." And yes, I am editing this because I don't like to swear that much, even though it
I hear it. You know,
even the effing trees walk in those movies. Here's the first movie. Here's the second movie. Here's the third movie. I die because the guy's like, "Well, George Lucas has never won an Oscar, and Peter Jackson did." And Randall is like, "You want to know what really impressed me at the bit of really Academy Award worthy ending? When Frodo wakes up from his little coma or whatever, he tells all the other hobbits and everybody to leave. And Sam gives him that very gay look, and the guy's like, "Dude, they're not gay, they're hobbits." He's like, right after the Sam and Frodo suckfest, right before the credits roll, Sam fries out bricks in Frodo's mouth, and the ring geek throws up, and Reynolds, "Jeez, dude, I'm just joking." Go watch that clip, or I'll put the clip in the chat on Twitter and everything.
I probably
is.
I mean, I'm not a fan of Kevin Smith, but I'll check it out.
I love these movies. As much as I love these movies, I do. Randall brings up a lot of freaking good points.
Good points are. I mean, his funny, sure, but good points. I wouldn't call them that.
Yeah, they're funny. That's my point. They're good. They're funny. It's hilarious. I'm sure Kevin Smith loves the Rings movies, but even at the same time, if you think about it really hard,
to its brass text, yes, it's a lot of walking and it's a lot of traveling.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's what's known as a journey.
I know, and I understand that, but at the same time, that scene just gets me.
Fun question. Which third film of any film series will be the same level of quality as Return of the King?
I don't think there is.
Error 404. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Let's just say that. Error 404.
I just mentioned it.
What, Clerks 2? That's not a third movie.
No. The word return is in the title.
Return of the Jedi was good, and I will always be a fan of Star Wars, have been since I was 2. Return of the King is better. Lord of the Rings is better. I'm saying that objectively. I mean, as much as I love George Lucas, don't get me wrong, I will always love George Lucas. But objectively speaking, the Return of the Rings or Lord of the Rings movies were better done.
They were.
And George Lucas got his own inspiration from Tolkien. So
yeah, I know.
we have waited long enough. She will get here soon, and we will. She'll just have to catch up. Smeagol and Deagle, folks. This is how the movie begins with Smeagol and Deagle, who's they're fishing in the Bruin in the river, and it turns out that Deagle catches a fish, a big fish, a trout, and it drags him down the river for a while, and we see him pick up the ring with his, I believe, with his right hand, but he comes out with it in his other hand. And that's when he starts playing with it. And that's when Andy Serkis, who directed this as well as acted in it, he was second unit director, and he directed this scene that he also acted in. And he really choked this guy to death. No joke. Actually, yes, it is a joke. But yeah, he really laid into the guy as well as the guy laid into him. He's like, we got to make this look good. We got to make it look authentic. Choke me. And, well, yeah, he really laid into it, but the guy couldn't keep from blinking whenever they did a take of his dead body. So they had to digitally paint his eyes open for when they pan down and then pan back up, because he couldn't stop blinking. And it's like, dude, you're supposed to be dead. Can't you wait for fucking like 15 seconds and not blink? But no,
I can't.
And he's like, sorry, man. But they had to digitally paint his eyes open. And it's like, I'll teach their own, or you got to do what you got to do, right? And we see the fall of Gollum. I mean, they actually do cover it a lot more in the books, where he's even found out by his family. I believe it's his aunt or his grandmother who actually casts him out. And the reason why he calls it my birthday present and my love is because, well, he was immediately seduced by it. And that was as he was making his way into exile, the Gollum cough. And apparently Andy Serkis had what was known as Gollum juice, which he would drink to kind of scratch his throat up a little bit, to give him that Gollum-like voice, my precious. And that kind of thing, you know? And it actually worked pretty well, because we then also see him take his final look up at the sun for 500 years. And when he closes it's all prosthetic, he looks like bone thin, so they had to digitally let him be less muscular. And I like that. He takes his last look up at the sun before going into the Misty Mountains. And that is how he developed his reflective eyes, which were animal-like in the dark, because he had been in caves for 500 years, and his body changed to adjust. And I thought that was pretty cool. And when he closes his eyes and opens them again, that's when it goes from practical to digital eyes, and that's when he fully became Gollum. And he even forgot to burn them. My precious. But anyway, what did you guys think of that? The birth of Gollum and the killing or the murdering of Deagle?
You go ahead first, Ambassador.
Okay. Honestly, this scene is extremely intense. I mean, we've never seen a scene this brutal in any of the movies thus far, and to start off the movie like this, it mirrors the first two, because we have the prologue in Fellowship, we have the rewind, so to speak, with Mithrandir fighting the Balrog Durin's Bane, and then we have this. I mean, this honestly, when I learned that they cut this out of Two Towers and put it here, it was perfect. It was ideal. It was the right way to start this movie. Because who is it ultimately that does destroy the ring? It's Gollum. It's Gollum that found it. It's Gollum that destroys it. Granted, he didn't intend to destroy it, but he did. Because he was so
Clumsy
fixated
idiot.
on it, he didn't. Yeah, essentially.
Mhm.
And it really is, in a way, Galadriel did. She prophesied this to a point. And the sheer intensity of the fight between Smeagol and Deagle. I mean, these are two family members, and we see just how truly enrapturing the ring is. We understand the nature of the ring and so on, but we've never seen what it can do to people as soon as somebody finds it. Within seconds, within minutes, these two family members are literally at each other's throats, and Smeagol kills his own kin.
Yep.
That's a great way to start off a movie. So, Skyhound, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered a good chunk, but from what I realize is that
Sorry.
when it comes to, it's all right. What occurred to me is that, as you mentioned, if they were to try to do this again, there's like no way that would be as good. And the fact that we got pretty much, I guess I could say, a good like background story in terms of how Gollum came to be, it really kind of like shows not just how good the performance of Andy Serkis is, but again, when we start back, when I'm looking back at the Fellowship of the Ring, we see the way it moves, but we don't know who exactly was being cast for the character until we get to the Two Towers.
Yeah. And another thing I liked is, or if you guys pay attention to the audio commentary, especially the cast one, where they're talking about his teeth, and they're like, "We Scotsmen," or Dominic Monaghan, he's like, "We Scotsmen have textbook teeth." And I mean, freaking Gollum has looks like a freaking meth addict as he's ripping into that fish. I mean, it's like, yeah, man, Scotsman teeth, or Scotch Hobbit teeth.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do like this whole scene because yes, it is intense. It is. I mean, this movie begins with a straight up murder, and it also shows that some hobbits, as simple as they are extremely susceptible to evil, because that is what the ring is. It is indeed. To say it lightly, I mean, this ring is a very big inspiration to writers in the future, specifically J.K. Rowling, because this ring is essentially a Horcrux of Middle Earth style, because he put his cruelty, his malice, his will to dominate all life. But what they also don't say is he actually did put a piece of him or his own soul into the ring. As long as the ring survives, he will survive.
He'll survive.
And when he has it to him unto himself again, he will completely be invincible. There will be no stopping him. Thank God that doesn't happen. Or, well, thank Gollum it doesn't happen. But does Gollum count as a tragic villain? Hold on. Neozoic has a question.
That's fine.
Does Gollum count as a tragic villain, anti-hero, or straight villain? He is a straight villain.
Mm-hmm.
His sole purpose is to have the ring for himself and to kill hobbits. He is just leading them to their death so that he can reclaim the ring after Shelob has her way with them.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. You were going to say, Ambassador?
My question is this. Obviously, Sauron had the ring. He forged it. He dominated Middle-earth for we don't know exactly how long. And of course, you had the last alliance between the men and the elves. Hypothetically, if Sauron got the ring back this time, what would be to stop anyone from forming another resistance and opposing him and potentially destroying him again, and this time actually destroying the ring what would be the difference, honestly?
What would be the difference?
I mean,
I'm
hypothetically
sorry.
speaking.
I caught that at the ending. I'm sorry. What was that?
Okay. Obviously, the first time Sauron had forged the ring, he dominated a good chunk of Middle Earth, but there were races that resisted him. Obviously,
Yeah.
hypothetically, if he got the ring back again this time, what would be to stop the Free Peoples from doing the exact same thing again, forming a resistance and eventually bringing him down and ultimately destroying the ring?
He was planning for this.
What?
He had planned ahead this time. He was summoning all evil to his lands. And he was striking as hard as he could because he knew that if Aragorn was to make it to Minas Tirith, he would rally Gondor and the rest of the Free Peoples of Middle Earth. He wanted the hammer to fall hardest against, or it's even said, the hammer will fall hardest against Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
And he sent the second biggest host against, or he sent almost everything he had against Gondor because he wanted to ensure that Minas Tirith fell. Except he didn't count on a couple of things. One, a very dumb hobbit named Pippin, which we'll get to later, and he also didn't understand that, or he also didn't count on the Dimholt road being taken. He underestimated his enemies, because he was acting in desperation. And in his desperation, he didn't look at all the potential dangers that he had. He still he knows that Aragorn is alive, but he doesn't know that Aragorn knows about the Dimholt road, or that he didn't ever suspect that he would be told about the Dimholt road. So he didn't expect that the army of the dead would assist them in saving Minas Tirith. And boy, did they. But we'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to that. We'll get to when we get to.
Yeah. I'm checking on a couple of things to see where our friend Kate is. She's probably still stuck in traffic a little bit, but she will join us, folks. So returning to the talking points, the aftermath of Isengard. Young Master Gandalf. I love how he calls him young Master Gandalf. And in the background, you see a bunch of Ents just stones at the freaking tower. Like the tower's going to freaking fall over from all the stones. And he's like, he tells me, he's like, I can master all these other things, but there's a wizard to manage here, locked in this tower. Folks,
wood and
this
water,
entire
stock and
scene,
stone, I can master.
Yeah. But this scene, folks, is somewhat in the books and very different from the books. One, Saruman is not killed in this scene. Two, Saruman is not killed in this scene. I forgot the second point. Let's go to this thing. I prefer in the Scouring of the Shire, to be completely honest, Neil. So I'll see to your question in a second. I see Gollum as a tragic villain since Frodo very much could have become the same thing without Sam keeping him in the light. Very true. Very
much.
True.
I mean, he's pretty much becoming what Gollum became. Because what Sam is pointing out was that, and he pointed, and it was mentioned in the second one. I'm just briefly going to touch upon it. When Frodo keeps saying, I know what I have to do. This is my task. It was assigned to me. It's mine, my own. And Sam point blank tells him,
don't you know who
listen
you
to yourself.
Like?
Don't you know how you sound like?
Yeah. Did I prefer Saruman's fate in the movie or the novel? The novel. The Scouring of the Shire was important because the movie paints it as all evil has been destroyed when the ring is destroyed. That really wasn't the case.
No.
Orcs were already making their way to the Shire when or during the time of everybody else. they left the Shire completely unguarded. The Shire had no defense because they never expected that anyone would ever attack them. Well, a host of orcs did. And unfortunately, well, we'll get to that. Lobelia Sackville Baggins and her husband were quite foolish in what they had done. But we'll get to that later. I do like, however, how this scene does play out, because we do get to that famous bit where Christopher Lee teaches the director about a certain thing, but we'll get to that. I do like how you think that Theoden is under the sway of Sauron, because Sauron uses his voice to seduce people. The voice of Sauron is the voice of Saruman. Yeah, sorry. The voice of Saruman is a thing, and his voice is very seductive. So when he is saying can we not have peace? And he says, we shall have peace, but then we shall have peace when you answer for all your crimes, the burning of the Westfold, the children, and when you hang from a gibbet. I'm obviously paraphrasing.
Hang from a gibbet for the sport of your own crows.
I'm obviously paraphrasing here because we can't.
I know.
We can't.
I'm sorry. I know these
yeah.
lines and I love them. It's okay.
Yes,
I know, but we can't. As I was saying, we can't go line for line throughout the whole movie. It would just take way too long.
I'm not trying to. I'm just coming on the ones that are really good. That's all I'm doing.
And so we see that Saruman actually takes a shot at Gandalf, and using fire against a fire Maiar spirit, especially one who is wielding the Ring of Fire, not the smartest idea. I mean, he's like, save your pity and your mercy, I have no use for it, and bam, hits him with a fireball, and it's like, broken staff. Crack. I love that. He's like, your staff is broken. And just pity, because I love that staff. I really do. It's a beautifully made staff.
It is really well designed.
Staff. And
like the ones who are working on it, though, when they're doing the designs and all that, like, kudos to the artists and the prop makers when they were doing this film. They had some really talented individuals there.
Okay.
Weta, they had some with Weta Studios. They had some of the best. The best prop masters, some of the best makeup artists. Nigella Lawson, who was the head costume designer. That woman busted her ass, and she did such a great job.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
The chain link.
Sing her praises more.
Yeah.
So we're at the aftermath of Isengard.
Oh yeah.
Those people work their freaking fingerprints off.
Yeah. They handmade all of those like chainmail stuff. Yeah.
It is not easy making that stuff.
And okay, for like, I don't remember if this movie won like 9 or 11 Oscars.
It was a sweep.
11.
Return of the King was a total sweep.
Was it a total sweep of all categories?
All the categories.
It wasn't. It did not win.
All but 2, or all but 1 or 2. It was almost a clean sweep.
Yeah,
did they get at least like design or like costume?
I think they got like most
all
of the
the
major
technical
categories.
stuff. They kicked everything's ass that year.
Did it win Film of the Year?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it did. It won film, and won Best Picture and won Best Director. That was for Jackson. It was for Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens. They got, and that was, and for. But I think Ian McKellen was up for Gandalf as Best Supporting Actor, but he didn't win. They didn't win any of the acting Oscars that year, if I recall correctly. And I think, honestly, that was a real shame, because Andy Serkis should have gotten a nomination, if not full out one, for Gollum. I mean,
Cooper, same.
He was that damn good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so we actually get to the bit where Grima comes out, gets smacked down, and stabs Sauron. And I love in the special features, he tells him, or he's like, okay, you're gonna react like this. And Christopher Lee talks about this in the special features. He's like, Pete, do you know what it
That's not what
sounds
they
like?
sound like when they get stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, do you know what it sounds like for a man who gets stabbed in the back? Because I do. And he explains that it's more of a you're getting you're not it's an intake because you're trying to breathe and
Right.
you can't. And so, or I think it was an
Mhm.
exhale, but not an inhale. It's more of like, because you're having the breath forced out of you.
hmm
So he made it as authentic as possible because, well, I'm guessing this is said with all respect. It's not said to say that it's impressive by any standard. Christopher Lee probably has a body count on him for his actions during World War II.
Also, he was the
reference to
only
him.
cast member to meet Tolkien.
Yes, to
That's
openly
Tolkien has
speak with him.
not Tolkien. Christopher Lee had a rather extensive and impressive personal and professional resume. The
Yes.
man
Oh yeah,
served as a spy during World War II. We mentioned this or anything, I think, during
he was a
the
Nazi
fellowship
hunter.
stream. Yeah, he was. He
He's a
probably
certified
knows
badass.
what that sounds what that sound is because he probably did
Yeah,
it.
He's
or
experienced.
he
pretty
had
much.
seen it done. He either had seen it done
Yeah,
or he
one
had
of the
personally
two.
done it. But
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that is a. I mean, yes, it's good that those very evil people are gone, but
Mhm.
I'm not saying that the act itself is good. I'm trying
Agreed.
to be as respectful
Differentiate.
to.
Those type of
I'm
people
trying to be
deserve
as
to be
reverent to him
gone.
as. Yeah, I'm trying to be as reverent to Christopher Lee as possible. This man had an
Of course.
authenticity to him that that served this movie. Question.
And side note, he was the last person to see the or he
Yep.
saw the last guillotine kill in 1973 in France.
70. I think it was 77
Yep.
actually.
Was it 77? I thought it was 73.
It was either 73 or
Yeah,
77
it was
where
the
he
year before I
witnessed
was
the
born.
last.
But I know it was in the 70s where they had their last guillotine, their public
Yeah.
execution via guillotine in France, and he was present for it.
Yeah, and that would probably change a man to witness a head being lopped off. Question from Neozoic was, well, I can't see that this thing hasn't highlighted, even though I clicked on it.
Does
Does
Theo didn't
Does
actually
Theo
want to
didn't
redeem
actually
him.
want to help redeem / help Green, or what other answers do you have?
in the movie? Yes.
I'll let somebody else go first.
In the movie, yes, he wanted to redeem Grima. He was willing to accept Grima back as a man of Rohan. However, in the book, Grima was still subservient to Saruman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing is, when Grima gets killed in the film, it's Legolas doing it, but in the book, it's a hobbit, and that's basically an archer that kills Grima.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that later.
And also, speaking to the skill of Orlando Bloom, when he had to shoot a certain target up on Orthanc to make it look like he was shooting at Grima, he hit that target perfectly. He had the perfect accuracy for it.
Me.
Yeah. So
considering much how much training he probably had.
Yep. And so then we see that after the stabbing, he falls down onto a spike, and his Palantir falls into the water. And Pippin has to go in and get it. And during the audio commentary for the cast, he's like, and the horses were all shitting in the water. So I'm walking through the dirtiest water. And they also had to have two different size Palantirs, one size for Pippin and the other size for Gandalf, where they did size scale, folks. When they did towers, like for the different places, you have miniatures. They did bigatures. That's actually a phrase that they coined. And
Alan Funky, one of the special effects people.
Yeah, and they actually you actually see how tall these things are when they make them, man.
Yeah, like they
the
made the huge ring for the visual effects and stuff, and
Mhm.
actually it was really cool. Not this past year, but 1 year ago, all four of the guys who play the hobbits came to Dallas Fan Expo, and of course they had their own like separate panels, but then they had like one all together, and they were talking about each of the little individual behind the scenes stuff, and um, it was funny. Billy was talking about how they were just fooling around with like the big old ring and like the different props and stuff that they had at different sizes and whatnot, and um, yeah, like you could tell that they had like a ton of fun making this film, and they still have fun like getting together afterwards. It's just totally off topic, but no, it's fun to relive these movies again.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, and if it's talking about it's Lord of the Rings, so it's pure or
It's on
you have
topic, but not.
yeah, it's on topic.
I get what you meant.
And so, any last thoughts or we also realized that also Pippin has an eye for this Palantir too, because it's like this thing is pretty interesting. Peregrine, I'll take that. All right, fine. But I
Well, and
love
also
how they
Pippin.
portray it.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love how they portray it because it's like he looks down, and then when Gandalf looks away, he's like looks back up, and it's like, oh, he's going to get that, or he's going to get that big old marble
Oh, yeah.
if he can,
Mhm.
if he can
I
manage
don't
it.
know
He
if we've
wants to.
discussed this, but like he's a really young hobbit. Like they don't reach maturity until like 33 years of age, and
Mhm.
Pippin, um, like in human years would be like 15 or 16. So like,
Mm.
um, calling him fool of a took and like all of the mischievous quote unquote things that he would do or foolish things that he would do, it's just like, okay, imagine if you're doing this death defying thing of like crossing entire world, but you bring a 15-year-old along,
Mhm.
some of the shenanigans that they're going to get into. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yep.
So even
Are you?
though
Mhm.
Gandalf's stern with him, I think he uses his sternness not out of like anger, but out of like, like slapping a kid's hand when they touch something they shouldn't or something. You know what I mean?
Kind of
Um,
like a father figure of sorts.
yeah,
Yeah.
but also we talked about this in the last stream where Gandalf comes back and he's just streamlining his goal.
Mhm.
And he kind of some of the things that were made him more human were taken away, and he was just like, all right, I've got to get these people to do these things, and I got to get these people to do these things. So his sternness with Pippin isn't necessarily like he's just a grumpy old man. Like he just like, look, you've messed up and caused us strife in the past. I'm not gonna let you do it again. Like
Mhm.
this is the final thing. This is the final showdown.
Yep. And another thing that's actually a critique I have of this particular movie, because he was supposed to be more, or rather less personal caring for people. However, the way that he is portrayed in the film, he is very caring because of how he reacts to certain things later in the film, especially in the next scene, which is the celebration at Edoras.
Yeah.
And we can,
Yeah.
or is there any more final thoughts before we go into that one?
The only thing I will say is, I've read all three books. The Scourging of the Shire or Scouring of the Shire. It's a great sequence, but honestly, I do prefer this better because it, in terms of narrative within a movie, you couldn't do the You couldn't do the scouring of the Shire because it would almost rob of that finality. Everything when
Yeah.
when Sauron is destroyed, his army is destroyed. That's the big evil. That's the big thing you're trying to
Hmm.
destroy. Having something like the scouring of the Shire would rob that finality and that triumph for
In a movie
everyone.
experience.
Yeah,
Yes,
in a
it
movie
would.
Yeah.
experience.
Agreed.
In a book experience, you can get away with something like that. In a theatrical story, in a theatrical narrative, you can't. The
Mhm.
scene is well acted across the board. I mean, I know there was a big falling out between Christopher Lee and Peter Jackson because the scene was cut from the theatrical cut. And honestly, I can't necessarily say I disagree because the scene was what, 5 minutes? I would have taken an
5 to
extra
10,
5
yeah.
minutes to have 5 to 10 minutes. I would have taken the extra 5 to 10 minutes to have that closure with this character who was the main antagonist in the previous film. I can understand Christopher Lee's frustration with Jackson, but at the same time, I understand Jackson's motivation as well, and as well as the editors and everything saying their choices. So moving on.
We have a
we can
3-hour-long movie already. Yeah.
And it's like, and the
Yeah.
extended edition is actually 4 hours long because
Isn't
the
it
credits.
4.5 or something?
This movie is 4.5 hours long total, 4 hours and 23 minutes. However, the movie itself ends at 3 hours 59 minutes and 50 some odd seconds.
Yeah.
Where they
there's a lot of people to credit. There's a ton of people to credit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all of the credits were 18 to 23 minutes.
I mean,
But
so many
anyway.
people worked on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
amazing amount.
Celebrations at Edoras, we get the drinking game between Gollum, or not Gollum, but
Gimli
and
What?
Legolas. Yeah, Gimli and Legolas. And we also see the celebrations of Pippin and Merry, how they're kicking everybody's drinks over and whatnot. And we also see that brief eye to eye
Drink your
with
nasty ale. You can drink them by the flagon, but the only brew for the brave and true.
comes from the Green Dragon.
Comes
Yeah,
from the
there you
Green
go.
Dragon.
Yep. And so we then see that brief eye to eye with Pippin and Gandalf, and it's like there's something unspoken between them because it's like, I still want to see that damn marble, or that damn giant marble. But anyway, the drinking game between Gimli and Legolas,
and Legolas,
and he's like, no pauses, no spills, and no regurgitation. But he says that it's the dwarves that go swimming with little hairy
women.
That's a reference to Jaws. Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
That reference.
Huh.
Yep. And
I do want to point out when Eowyn brings the cup to Aragorn and he drinks from it, I was like, in some cultures, that's an engagement.
Yes. She was she also spoke in Elvish to do it too. She basically says an affirmation in Elvish Elvish.
Elvish.
Yeah.
Her Elvis impersonation.
Yeah. Would have been, or I'm pretty sure it translates into like her very much. But or we then see Theoden, who is still full of doubt because also in the last scene, which we didn't cover this, Saruman lays into Theoden. He basically tells him, he's like, the victory at Helm's Deep doesn't belong to you, and you are a lesser king of greater size.
Mm-hmm.
He is basically ripping into him to fill him with doubt because he realizes he has all that doubt into him. Now, he's not Debbie Downer as much in the book as he is in the movie, but I can understand the reason why they had Bernard Hill act Theoden out the way he did. This man lost his family. He lost his bloodline. And it's like,
lost his son.
Fuck it.
Everything.
I will, or the greatest thing I could do is die in battle. And that is basically all that he can, or all that he feels is left of him. So when he finally, or so later on, we'll get into it, but you really understand that this man has no real purpose other than his niece and nephew. Hey, fuck Norris, good to see you. What's up, Orange friends listening from work? Okay, thank you for tuning in. Did Lee and Jackson reconcile each other because Lee returned to the trilogy? Yes, or rather, I would say that he did. But he also did put out the extended editions to Lord of the Rings. So I'm guessing that they did have some sort of reconciliation.
And maybe it wasn't like a total falling out. Maybe it was just like, hey, we worked really hard on this, and now I have no conclusion to my character. You know, it might have been a minor tiff and not like a
Yeah.
end of friendship, you know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
thinking too.
So then we
Because obviously he came back and anything for The Hobbit
Mhm.
with films.
Right,
So
right.
and so another thing that I
Excuse
noticed,
me.
or as I was saying from the last bit, which Gandalf, who is supposed to be very steadfast and stoic in this version of himself, he is.
yeah,
He's like, do we know that Frodo is alive? It's like you can see him from afar. You have that ability. You have farsight, and he's like, what does your heart tell you? That Frodo is alive. Yes, he is alive. It's like, or Mithrandir wouldn't have that doubt. I mean, I'd have to reread the books, but I do not believe that
I think
he
it
had
was
that
more
doubt.
one of those changes for the movies to keep the suspense. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, I've said this
Yeah.
before, and in your last
Yeah.
one, I'm okay with the changes that they made for the film because movie adaptation is very difficult.
And that is why Tolkien sold the rights for the movies for $1. He's
Mhm.
like, I will sell these for $1 because I know that you can't adapt them faithfully, and nobody ever will. And
I think that if he were alive to see the movies that were made, he might be peeved about certain changes. Like
he'd flunk them.
um,
He'd flunk them.
he like not having Glorfindel save Frodo and having Eowyn do it, but
He would
you know,
excoriate Peter Jackson for the fact that he'd kept Tom
mean-
Bombadil out of the movie.
yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
quick
I do
aside,
believe that
who would you
Tolkien
cast?
was,
Who would you
as
cast
Tom
as Tom Bombadil?
honestly, at the time, I have no idea.
I think just this is he's not British. He wouldn't fit into the scene of it, but like Robin Williams would play a great Tom Bombadil. Think about it.
Fuck, you're
Anyway.
absolutely right.
I can see that.
No.
I could see that.
Maybe.
Right? It
Maybe.
wouldn't go along with the theme or like the he would be maybe too silly, but
Yeah. Something tells me that if Robin Williams did play it, he would not, or he would professionally, he would tone down his humorous side in order to.
Because have you seen him in Dead Poet Society? He can do serious roles.
Oh
yeah,
yes, he very much can do.
I love that movie.
I mean, I've seen him in Mrs. Doubtfire. Yes, he's funny in that, but he also has the serious stuff in it.
He can do his
Good Will
serious
Hunting.
Yeah,
he can pull serious off very well. But I
he
can
would be
honestly,
my favorite.
Like me and my friends have talked about this. Wouldn't he be a great Tom Bombadil?
Yeah, because I can honestly see him holding the ring. He's like, or he'd be like, yeah, yep, there you go. I mean, I can honestly see that.
Yeah.
Now that you bring it up, it's like, holy crap, I could actually see Robin Williams as Tom Bombadil.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean,
big bushy beard, wig, a big pointy hat, or whatever way they
he would wear the
designed him
colorful
for the
clothes.
movie.
He'd be dancing around. He'd be singing. Like he would get it done.
Yeah.
That's who I would have
Okay,
cast
now here's
if
the
I
next
were
question,
casting
though.
it.
Here's the next question. Who do you cast as Goldberry?
Ooh.
Just saying. Who do you cast as
I'm
Goldberry?
unaware of the.
Goldberry.
I haven't read the books in a while, so I am not aware of who Goldberry is.
His wife.
It's essentially
basically.
Tom Bombadil's wife.
She'd have to be gorgeous and blonde and super like sweet.
What was her physical body?
She was almost like elf-like and beautiful and mystical, skinny but like flowy dress, but very
if she
like
had
when
been
she
acting
spoke.
at the time, I would say Elle Fanning, maybe.
Yeah. If she were the right age
at the time.
Yeah, if she were the right age at the time, Elle Fanning could do it.
At that point,
Elle Fanning back then,
she wouldn't have been.
She wouldn't have been old enough. Like she's my age.
No, if she had been old, that's why I said if she had been
Right,
old enough,
Yeah.
right.
maybe.
Yeah.
But she
But
wasn't
at the
old enough
time, I'm
by
trying
that
to think
point.
of an actress in like 2003 or
Price, I
2001.
don't think Emma Watson wouldn't be the right casting for that.
She
No,
wasn't even
absolutely
old
not.
enough. She was only 11 years
Emma
old.
Watson.
No, she wouldn't have
worked
been old
for-
enough either.
Yeah,
Ooh.
she was too. She would have been too young.
That's a difficult
Price, I don't
casting.
think Nicole Kidman would have worked either.
She's too old.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
what Price said a while ago, he was trying to say Ginny. He's referring to the actress who was that's the sister of Ron Weasley.
Yeah, she wouldn't have worked either because she was a kid.
And she has zero personality, and she's a terrible actress. Sorry.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, Jenny. Okay, all right. I think she would. The actress who played Ginny Weasley.
No.
No, she would have been too young as well.
Personally, I think
Way too young.
Michelle Pfeiffer or Meg Foster.
That's a hard one.
That's a little bit more difficult. Michelle Pfeiffer is a good one.
Or Meg Foster.
What's Meg Foster? Who's Meg Foster? What's Meg?
She was Evelyn.
What's Meg Foster been in?
Masters of the Universe is Evelyn.
Okay.
And they live.
Her.
She has those very piercing eyes.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just never remember the name of the actress. Maybe.
How old was Kate Hudson at the time?
She might have been old enough.
All we know is that we would want a very
famous.
professional actress. We would want a very professional actress doing it.
Right. Well, there isn't HBO doing like a. Oh no, that's Harry Potter. Sorry, forget what I said.
Yeah, but anyway, but honestly, I think that would have been, you know what? Who also?
I'm trying to think British. I'm trying to think British actress who could do it. You know what I mean? Kate Beckinsale in a blonde wig?
No.
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 It's not that I don't like her, but no, she wouldn't have been the right casting for Goldberry. Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm trying to go British instead of American. Yeah. Who's the French girl from Inglourious Bastards? Would she have been too young?
Maybe. You talking about the one place Shoshana?
Yes.
Maybe. She wasn't exactly very old, but she wasn't very young either when they did Inglourious Bastards, because Inglourious Bastards came out in 2009 or 10, somewhere along in there.
Right.
So yeah, she probably would have been around the right age.
Eva Green.
Ooh.
Oh crap! Snap! Yeah, that could have worked.
That could have worked.
It would have been a barrel roll that she had in the Golden Compass.
Because
she would have been around
just saying.
19, 20 years old. She would have been around 19, 20 years old.
Well, they would have had to make her like. It's almost as if like the way that she's described in the book is like anytime she came into the room, there's like this glow of light. Like she's magical of some sort in her own sense.
Sounds like they're they're talking about Galadriel.
Right. That's why I said she's almost elf-like, but she's not an elf. They're very like Goldberry and Tom Bombadil are just like these. Until we get the Book of Lost Tales with Tom Bombadil's story and stuff, Tales of Tom Bombadil. Just reading just the Lord of the Rings, there's not much information on either Goldberry or Tom Bombadil. The hobbits run into them, they get rescued by Tom Bombadil, he's able to wear the ring, he doesn't seem to care about it. Goldberry shows up, she's this beautiful, ethereal creature who shines with the sun or whatever.
At that point, or is he not?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Was Aragorn with them at that point, or was he not?
No, he this was before they made it to Bree.
That was
Okay,
that was
I
way
couldn't
before.
remember. I couldn't remember when Tom Bombadil was, where that placement
Like
was. If he
the
was before they got to
swords
Bree or
that they
after.
get, the swords that they get are from
Mhm.
the Barrow Whites that Tom Bombadil saves them from.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that.
and so like the sword that they all have like armor and swords and stuff is they get it from the Barrow Whites dungeon basically,
Yeah.
and Tom Bombadil has to save them and stuff.
Another good
Right,
choice
I
that
got
I think, Helena Bonham Carter.
maybe.
I mean, she's
Have
got
to
the
make
beauty
her up the
down.
right way.
You got the beauty
She
down.
was. Yeah, she does have the right look, and we just have
She
to
has
tame her.
Yeah,
have to tame
she
that
couldn't
hair a
be
little bit.
quirky and weird. She
Mm.
couldn't be quirky and weird. She'd have to be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god," like mesmerizing. You know what I mean?
They could have done it, or maybe even Funka Jansen.
We're getting way off topic.
I'm
Yeah,
so
we are.
sorry.
Just
Still,
I
saying.
am so
No,
sorry.
it's okay. It's a good discussion,
It's a good
but maybe
discussion.
table it until next week when we discuss the.
Do the appendices and stuff.
Appendices,
We
yes.
have the
Yeah.
Yeah,
appendices.
all right. Yeah, well, all right. Yeah, moving on.
Circle
So,
back.
The night
Put it on the
going
list
back
for
into
next
it.
week.
Yeah. Night Reese Witherspoon. No fucking way. But anyway, hello, Price is Right
I'm
review.
sorry.
Good to see you.
Let's see.
We're
Price?
thumbsing down Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah. Is it bad that I don't know anything? No, Darth or no.
This is
Darth
where you come
Zathra,
to
just
learn, Darth Zathra. This is
Yeah,
where
Hey,
you
that's
come
where you
nerd out
learn.
with us. That's why we're here.
Watch
Some
the
of us have
movies
read the
and,
books, some of us have watched the movies, and some of us
Yeah.
Some of us
both.
have done
Like
both.
it's great.
Because
But
we're gluttons
anyway,
for
getting back
punishment.
into it.
Just give this YouTube a thumbs up. You know?
Yes, definitely hit the like button, folks.
Mhm.
So we get to the night after, and everybody's snoring away except for Aragorn,
And
Legolas,
Legolas.
and Pippin, and
Mhm.
Eowyn, because
and Eowyn.
she dreamt that she saw a great wave, which was actually a dream that Tolkien himself had. And I do believe he put it in the book, which was essentially the flooding of Numenor and the destruction of Numenor.
Yep.
Which she dreamt about, or she expressed it in the film. And this was actually revealed that this was something that Tolkien himself had dreamt about the Great Wave.
Yeah.
And so then he goes to talk with Legolas, and it turns out from my research and the audio commentaries that they were not standing next to each other.
No,
They were filmed separately. They were filmed
cut it
separately,
together.
and yeah, they cut it together.
Wow.
Pretty much.
And he's talking about a sleepless malice and how it stirs, basically saying that Sauron is not, or he's not sleeping right now. He's quite pissed off. And inside, we have a young hobbit who just has to scratch that itch. And
Yep.
he's like, and freaking Mary wakes up. He's like, "What are you doing?" No. And then he sees Gandalf sleeping with his eyes open, and I love it. He's like,
There's also I wanted to bring up real quick. I did spot I don't know if I would say it's a reference to Indiana Jones, but he kind of does that switch thing.
yeah,
He switches
he does
the palantir with a
water
vase.
pail. Yeah, the water pail. And
Yeah.
he's like, "I just want to look at it one last time."
Yeah.
And it's like, freaking at this point, Sauron is just like, "What do I freaking do? I need to take a look out there." So at this point, Sauron basically picks up the freaking palantir, and it's like, somebody just grabbed another one. Ha! Gotcha. And he starts assaulting Pippin.
Pretty much.
Basically,
Mhm.
Pippin basically describes it as an assault on him, not a
And-
sexual assault or anything like that.
No,
he
just
hurt
But
him.
he hurt him.
Basically
Yeah.
tortures him.
Right, but
And-
that's why Denethor was crazy when we meet him later, is because he's
It's
looking
because
into the Palantir way
Yeah.
too much, and it's not meant for. It wasn't made for mortal men to like look into. Like it
No.
makes you a little. So the fact that Pippin was
Well-
able to hold on to it, and okay, continue because we'll get there when Gandalf explains what happens.
And then I love the reaction of Legolas. He's like, he's here.
He's here.
I mean, the way that he says it, and we see how
He's freaked.
Pippin is reacting, because I love it. You hear Sauron say, "I see you," and that's when it starts happening. And you hear the black speech. He's based at that point. That is what he is saying to Pippin. Who are you? Where did you come from? Where is my ring? He wants to know,
because he just sees the halfling. He doesn't know he's the wrong halfling.
Yeah. He's like, I know that a halfling has my ring, and so he believes that Pippin has the ring. And so Pippin's at Edoras, so he knows that, or he knows where these stones are. He knows that this person or this halfling is at Edoras, so I'm probably going to lay waste to Edoras. And then he sees Aragorn picking it up, grabbing it. He's like, wait, do you got the ring? Son of a bitch, where is it? And it's like, oh, wait, you?
Yeah.
So then freaking Aragorn, because you also see his eye is like goes wide, or the pupil goes wide when it sees Aragorn. It's like, you son of a... Oh,
because
no.
he fears him. He
So
fears
Son of
him.
a Numenoid.
Yeah.
He knows him.
He knows
Yeah,
him.
he
He fears
fears-
him. He
this
knows
is the
whose
one
kid
he
he
fe-
is. Yeah.
Yep, he knows that this is the heir of Elendil. And
Yeah.
so when Gandalf finally shudders it, it's like, or this is Sauron absolutely at his, he's like, I did not just see who get the 9, get them ready, and get them the fucking Minas Tirith. Because,
Yeah,
I mean, this is
he
him
was-
basically at his
he was
most
freaking
desperate.
out.
Sauron is a Karen.
He was freaking out.
In this case, man, yeah, he's like,
Yes.
I have to move. I have to mobilize. I just saw my worst freaking enemy right now. No, this isn't happening.
Well, yeah.
Get them to Gondor and get that place slaughtered.
Because on a spy network kind of thing, he's like, oh shit, the halfling is with the heir of Elendil. And I
And
know what the heir of
Gandalf.
Elendil can do. And
Yeah,
Gandalf.
yeah.
So he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, he
You
knows.
know.
He's
I tell
he's
you right
screwed.
now. I tell you right now, folks. Sauron's fingerless hand was twitching when he saw Aragorn.
Oh yeah.
His fingerless hand was it's like, or it's like just down at his side, and it's like just like,
Just,
son of a bitch. I wish I had
Just
fingers.
out of
I'd make a fist.
curiosity.
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, in Minas Tirith, after the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, I know I'm jumping ahead. What does Sauron say to Aragorn in the Black Speech when they have their confrontation there? Does anybody?
I know your
does
heart, and I
is it
know
ever
that, or
referenced?
it's not translated, but essentially he's saying, I can see into your, or I can see into your heart, and she will not survive. She will die.
Mhm.
Because he's showing her Arwen dead.
Yeah.
So it's very clear that he's like, okay, you could, yes, I am afraid of you, but if I die, she'll die.
She dies. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's
was
already
filling her-
afraid of that because, in the first movie, he was
gave up from
singing
her.
about Beren and Luthien,
Yeah.
and he knows the story of
Yeah.
her dying.
Well,
Yeah, because
He knows
was-
the
Luthien.
he was
was
singing
very much
that
seen.
because he and Baron are essentially very.
He's right.
own-
He's
or there are
replaying the
descendants.
same story.
It's
Yeah.
a parallel.
There are 3 in the entirety of Middle Earth relationships of man and elf. And Baron and Luthien, Aragorn and Arwen, and I can't remember the other ones. So
And side note, what's really sweet on Tolkien and his wife's grave
is Baron
yeah.
and Luthien.
is Beren
Beren
and
and
Luthien.
Luthien.
And I just thought that's the sweetest thing. He thought of her as like the elf queen.
That
you
was
know?
his. That was his.
Yes.
That was his Luthien.
That
Yeah.
was
Baron and
Yep.
Luthien finally united in death. Save it for next week because that's
Yeah.
one of the things I
For
want to
the-
discuss is the Silmarillion and
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it brings to this.
Make a note
So,
because
I'll start
I'd
with
love
next
to
week.
discuss it too. Yeah.
So
So,
getting
next week.
into it, we then see
moving on.
that he grills or fool of a toque, and then he grills Pippin. He's like, I saw a white tree in a courtyard of stone. It was dead. He didn't expect Pippin to see his own, or Sauron.
Plans.
Yeah, he didn't expect him to see his own plans. He's like, but it's because he was seeing this so clearly. He's like, oh yes, this is finally going to happen. Son of a bitch, who's looking at me? And basically, that's in a way how I see. It's like somebody's looking at me. Where's my pant? Who are you? What do you want? And
because it's a two-way portal. He got information,
Yeah.
but he gave information. Yeah, it's like a telephone.
Yeah, he that's the crazy thing, and that's something that they've referenced several times in the different commentaries and so on. Essentially, the Palantirs do show you things, but they don't show you everything. And essentially,
the truth.
Just enough.
But what they say is, whoever has the Palantir at the time and whoever has the opposite, obviously Sauron has one, and he's using it to spy on everybody, and he's making all these inferences, except those inferences are incorrect. He assumes, yes, the halfling has the ring, but he doesn't know that it ain't Pippin. He just knows that a halfling has it.
And then he sees a halfling, and he's like, you. Yeah.
It's got to be you. He jumps to a conclusion. Then he sees Aragorn, and
he fears Aragorn.
Aragorn uses himself as bait when they're having their big discussion after the battle, and we'll get into that. Essentially, Aragorn uses himself as bait.
Yep, and so he tells him, he's like, there was no lie in Pippin's eye. A fool, but an honest fool.
But an honest fool he remains. Yeah.
And so he's like, we've been strangely fortunate, and we caught a glimpse of the enemy's plan. He moves to strike Minas Tirith. But at this point, Theoden is like, why don't we go Gondor? Why should we ride to the aid of those who didn't ride
to ours? What do we owe Gondor?
Yeah.
And so it's like, are you really going to push this shit right now? He's like, are you really going to go there? So he's like, I'll go. No, I will go. You have a different road or task. And you need to look to the black ships because the Corsair fleet. Now, originally they wanted to, recruit the Corsairs. That unfortunately didn't happen because they were already recruited.
Yeah.
By Sauron. Quick question: is Sauron's power, or if Sauron's
Sauron powerful in the same level
as other villains?
Darkseid, Aku
from Darkseid, Aku from Samurai Jack, Darth Vitiate.
No,
not a good comparison.
That would be Melkor.
Not even close.
Melkor would be that level. No, not even that level. Melkor is powerful, yes. Vitiate was a world eater. Vitiate sacrificed worlds to fuel his immortality.
Yeah, like Melkor is still a created being by Iluvatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still,
he's like the Lucifer of the world of
essentially, yes.
Pretty much.
And as for Darkseid, he's a world ender, but I'm willing to bet even freaking Vitiate could kill Darkseid. When it comes to, or as powerful as Melkor and Sauron are, Sauron, if he had his ring, would be indestructible. So then, maybe he would stand a chance if he had his ring back.
Right, but the ring just gives him power and dominance and will to rule over.
Yes.
However, of the other,
you have to destroy that ring to destroy Sauron. And the only place to do that.
Yeah.
The only place to do that is in Mount Doom. They actually. Fun fact here, folks. You guys know Death Battle from Rooster Teeth?
I do, yes.
They did the Lich King from World of Warcraft versus Sauron. And Sauron schooled his ass. Unfortunately, they used Ring of Power logic. It's like, I'm going to explode a volcano right now on your ass. It's like, you can't do that. You dumb shit.
It's not really how it works, but okay.
Yeah. So,
anyway, moving on.
There goes to Minas Tirith with Pippin, And we then see Arwen's vision because she's on her way to the Grey Havens, and she sees her son, Eldarion. Now, that kid sort of looks like what's his name from the show Leverage, the hitter. I mean, very much looks like that, like it could have been his son. But anyway, and she's like, Dad, you son of a bitch. So she rides
You
back
saw
and,
my son. Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw my kid.
You
have the gift of foresight, and you lied.
Yep. And so she confronts him, and then she tells him to reforge the sword. We get the poem that has already been read, and
the crownless again shall be king.
We then see that he agrees to reforge the sword, but as he's leaving, she wanes and she falters, and he's like, "Wait, what the hell's going on here?"
Because
the light of the Avatar is leaving, or the light of the Eldar is leaving you, and she's like, "This was my choice, whether or not you, father, whether or not you wanted." Yeah, there is no ship now that can bear me hence. So she's basically saying, I can't go into the West. I am mortal now, and I have given that up to be with him.
Yeah.
Whether it is by your will or not, it's my choice. And so,
which is such a beautiful love story, because Aragorn thinks that she's gone, and had given up on that, and then it's just it's so good. It's just so good.
And
Elrond shows up with Andúril.
Right.
Yeah. So
we'll get to that.
They are reforging the sword, and we get to Minas Tirith. Now, again, folks, in the books, Andúril is already reforged.
Yeah.
And it is already within Aragorn's possession. Now,
he's been carrying it around since book 1.
Yeah. I do believe Glorfindel also goes to Aragorn in this movie to tell him that to take the Dimholt road. That's all that that elf went to do. It's like, I'm not here to give you a freaking kiss or anything. I'm not here to give you a sword. You got to take that road. Because otherwise, Minas Tirith falls. So at Minas Tirith, I love how he's Gandalf and Pippin, are getting there, and he's like, listen to me carefully. Denethor is Boromir's father. To tell him anything about his son would be very bad. Don't talk. Shut up. Let me handle it.
Yeah.
Well, that plan goes out the window.
What does Pippin do?
So south. Well, because he already has his he has his horn, so
his son's horn, and he's like, Aaron, he's like, perhaps you explain this. You here to tell me my son's dead? And well, unfortunately, Pippin can't hold back because he was reminded of that moment. So he opens it up, and he's like, he offers a service, and this is where Gandalf is like, oh, you son of a bitch, you don't know what you just did.
Yeah, well, because at this point, you just see a grieving man. You don't see his craziness until he continues talking. So here we go again with Pippin being very
an idiot, a fool of a two.
Yeah, reactionary, and it's very honorable. It's very honorable. So I'll give it to Pippin, because he's like, he laid down his life for me and my kinsmen. I'm in your service. So honorable. Give the man his flowers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's one line.
And he pretty much points out.
Sorry, Skyhound. Go ahead. And I'll say mine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Pretty much though. He's pretty much. Denethor asks him. This is my first command to you. He's like, how did you survive and he did not? So mighty is a man as he. And he said, one man can easily be pierced by one arrow, and Boromir was pierced by many.
Yeah.
And that puts him even into more grief, and it's like, oh my God, my son died horribly. And yep, that is true. Good to see you, Christian. Thank you for coming in. So he's like, where is Gundor's army? He's like, do you think you're wise, but I could see through you. And he even tells him basically what he's been doing. Do you think the eyes of the White Tower are blind? Meaning, he's been looking into Palantir. There, or for those of
Yeah.
you who don't know, a seeing stone is in Minas Tirith. So now there are two
Yeah.
stones there, and Denethor, or freaking, that's another reason why Sauron is going after Gondor, because he fears that Denethor has the ring as well.
Yeah.
Because he's,
He knows someone has it. He just doesn't know who.
well, he
Right.
fears that he's like, all these people are looking in the stone. Do they have the ring? So I'm gonna freaking slaughter all of them to make sure that they don't, and to take it if they do. So we then see that he's like, the rule of Gondor is mine and no others. He's unwilling, and I love what Gandalf says. It's like, authority is not given to you to deny the return of the king,
Love that
steward.
line.
And he's reminding him of his place. However, Denethor is too engrieved
Stubborn.
and power mad, and he says, the rule of Gondor is mine and no others. Well, we then hear,
because prior to that though, he mentions to Gandalf, "I've seen more than you know. Oh yes,
yeah,
word has reached my ears of this Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and I tell you now, I will not bow to this ranger from the north."
yep, long bereft
Yeah.
of, or
Long bereft of honor. Yeah. Yeah.
Rhaegar's house, long bereft of lordship.
Mhm.
And so that's also something that Sauron was showing him whenever Denethor looked in there. He's like, oh yeah, he's coming to dethrone your ass.
By the way, yeah, right. Well,
Mhm.
and the cool thing, I just love the scene too, because you get the Hall of the Kings, you get the White Throne, and then you get the little black chair to the side, not on the
Yep.
dais, and it's just a really great visual representation of like, bro, you're just here to be a steward, and you're doing a terrible job because you're
Yep.
not rallying
You suck ass.
your army to Minas Tirith. And
Mhm.
then in the next couple scenes, he sends off Faramir to go get Osgiliath back because of being stupid. You know what I mean?
But we'll get to that in a bit, because that is important. So I do like Gandalf, how he explains everything to Pippin about the tree and how the line of kings failed. Essentially, basically, because people became complacent. And they also kept on looking back when they should have been looking forward. And that is essentially the lesson of the fall of the king. But then I love how he realizes that, or Pippin's like, there's no, or a storm is coming. He's like, this isn't the weather of the world. And he explains that, and he's like, well, Minas Tirith, very impressive. So where are we going next? We're not going anywhere, bub. We're staying here. I love how Pippin does. He's like, well, Minas Tirith, where are we off to next? Because he doesn't want to be there. He's like, oh,
well, and then when he's going through his like his sword and like all of his clothes and stuff, and he's like, oh, this is just ceremonial, right? And Gandalf's like, well, you're in the service of the steward now. You can do what you're told. Like,
they don't expect me to do any fighting, do they?
I love the little scene. I love the little scene between Faramir and Pippin where he's like, I wore that as a child.
Yeah, that was made for me as a child. Yeah. Well, I'm not likely to grow anymore, at least, or except sideways. But what we haven't covered, folks, is the path of Frodo and Sam and Gollum. So we are going to touch upon that right now, because Sam is basically aware of Gollum's treachery. And I do want to go to that because he overhears Gollum talking about it, and he starts laying into him. And unfortunately, Frodo didn't hear any of it. But I love that, or he's like, you don't understand, man. He's a villain. He's trying to kill us. He means to murder us. I heard it from his own mouth. It's like, I'm sorry. If I was Frodo, I would have listened to that. I would have listened to that.
Well, in the books, Frodo and Sam never split.
Yeah.
Like, they walk side by side into Shelob's lair after Gollum, like, just dips. And again, this is a change in the movie to build suspense and character development and Frodo's downfall with the ring. But Sam never leaves Frodo's side until he thinks he's gone. But so that is a change in the it's because in the books it's like Frodo knows he's going to be betrayed by Gollum, but he's like, there's no other way. Like, if this is the only way into Mordor, we're taking it, you know.
We have no other
But
You
choice.
got to.
yeah, like if
Mhm.
this, like we're gonna go forward, and if we die in the process, we die in the process, you know.
And I also, but I do like how they play it in the movie, especially when they get to Minas Morgul, because this is where we are at this point in the movie where they're getting to Minas Morgul, and Gandalf is talking with Pippin, looking out at night, and basically so close to the home of the Nine that he can't help but hear their call.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he
And
starts walking toward them. Yeah,
because he's like, they're calling me.
yeah.
And so they have to pull him aside, especially when
Mhm.
we hear that. I mean,
That
I'm thinking
flare
that's
thing,
called,
whatever. That thing was
that,
cool as hell,
yeah.
but scary as hell.
That was
Yeah.
basically the Witch King that was basically the Witch King's key or order from Sauron. It's like, now it is time for us to go. It is, or we have just received our order to strike. And
Was
so,
that the first movie Skybeam? Because it's been recreated so many times.
yeah.
Like, you know, Transformers, freaking Avengers, like Ghostbusters, the new shitty one. But is
I
that the
do
first
like it.
Skybeam in a movie?
Pretty much.
Pretty
'Cause
sure. Yeah.
Guess you could say yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was a Skybeam.
But in this case, it was a mythical, not a technological one.
I mean, this
It
is
was a mythical
basically
Right, but
Skybeam,
like-
not a technological
the
one.
Witch King flex. This is basically the Witch King's flex. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, who disturbs my slumber? And I turned that into a GIF, folks, where the spiral goes up, and then my words across the screen. Who disturbs my slumber? And also when the Witch King rides up with his fell beast, and it's like, right, I'm up.
That's such a cool shot, though, of the aerial pullback. Like,
yeah.
okay, so the thing
Uh-huh.
about like the visual, like, of the Nazgul, and even when they're like diving in on Minas Tirith later on, and that like
yeah.
pull up on Minas Morgul and stuff, and you see the fell beast and just like the army and stuff. I'm like, this is what Game of Thrones should have done with their dragons. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
A dive
peak,
bomb, yeah.
peak cinematography in this
Oh, yeah.
film. Like, just, you know, chef's kiss.
One of
Uh-huh.
or now also the intro to the Witch King in this movie, where he's like, well, we got the White Wizard, that has to count for something. And he realizes that Gandalf is 10 and whatnot, and he's like, wait, what? Sauron is yet to unleash his most deadly servant. Well, actually, that's not exactly accurate, because he unleashed them when they went hunting for the ring.
Mhm.
He
And
didn't
was
have
on
him
top of-
armored, though. He didn't
No.
have him.
And so
Armored.
I love that, because he's standing there like this, and as they're panning around him, his hands are going outward so
The
that
flex.
he could be armored.
Yeah.
And then they
So cool.
came up with so many different helmets. One that actually looked like Sauron, and it's like, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. We can't have that. And let's make one look like a witch's helmet, but with a cool or that will fit over. And it's like the design they came up with, and I absolutely love the Witch King's helmet.
Yeah,
Now,
I've seen a lot of
That-
cosplay
that-
for the Witch King of Angmar, and
yeah,
I
Plus,
ran into
there are
this
people
guy.
there are people who have it as a fire thing too.
Yeah,
or like a
fireplace
fire
thing.
pit.
Nice.
The last
not
time
too
I was at
long
Comic
ago,
Con, I
actually
took
saw. Sorry,
One second,
go
let Kate go.
Ambassador.
ahead.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
real quick. I took my little sister to Comic Con, and I ran into somebody dressed up as the Witch King of Angmar, and she's just like, "Oh, who is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the Witch King of Angmar," and he was like, I couldn't see his face, obviously, because he had the black over it, and he was like, "Thank you. You know how many people come up to me and call me Sauron?" And I was like, all of those people are losers. I know my shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It'd be like,
They
I
don't
would
look
have
the
been
same at
like,
all.
who the fuck is calling this guy Sarah? I would have been like that if I was at frickin' Comic Con. I would have been with a frickin' bullhorn in my hand. all people who identified this man as Sauron need to get their asses over here and
Get
now.
out of Comic-Con.
For
Just
public
leave. Just leave.
For public
Just leave.
shaming.
Turn in
Holy
your nerd
shit,
card
man.
and just leave.
Sorry.
Just leave.
Sorry.
No,
but
I asked him.
have
I asked
to.
him for a photo. Because his costume was like spectacular. And
Well, share
yeah,
that shit if you got it.
Of course.
yeah.
I wanna see that.
I'll share it. I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nice.
my sister. Who is that? Oh, that's the Witch King of Angmar. He's one of the 9. And he was just so like, without being able to see his face, he's like, "Oh my god, thank you. So many people call me Sauron." I'm like, "Not me, dude. I know what's up."
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
Go ahead,
So,
Ambassador. Sorry.
I saw not too long ago. Not too long ago. It was just like a day or so ago. I saw a reel on Instagram, and this guy forged. I mean, literally forged and acid etched the design. Built his own suit of Sauron's armor, including his
Hell yeah.
freaking mace.
Nice.
I saw that.
Awesome.
And he
Nice.
even
I saw that.
he had like a large wood burning furnace or something. He actually put the armor in there to get that smoky black look on it. He actually wore it. It was so freaking accurate. It was he forged and pieced the freaking mace together, and then it was absolutely
Wow.
Beautiful.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Had the whole ring. He had the whole the ring wraith theme playing during the whole
Love
reel,
it.
and I'm like, this dude is.
It doesn't breathe fire, so no. And the dragons in Middle Earth speak.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The fell beasts
Yeah.
are not dragons. They
Yeah.
are not wyverns.
not even
They are
close.
fell beasts. They are fell beasts because they were twisted by evil. They were probably something else, but they were twisted. Because remember, evil cannot create; they can only twist
Right.
and and corrupt. So, getting to it, the hobbits and now are climbing the winding stairs, and Osgiliath is then has Gothmog coming to town, played by the same guy who played Lurtz in nice. Who played
And who also played the
Witch King.
The Witch King.
Yep, he plays the Witch King. He plays Gothmog. He plays Lurtz. Now, there was a shot of this in the appendices of him in the suit as Gothmog sleeping on a wheelbarrow. Because it was they did long hours in that makeup, man, and God bless these people. But yeah, he plays this elephantitis orc. This orc with elephantitis. And they're basically sending their entire force across the river to join up with the ones that are marching from Minas Ithil, or Minas Morgul, rather, which used to be called Minas Ithil.
Mm-hmm.
And
back when it was under control of men.
Yep, to basically destroy the world of men. And, well, unfortunately, it was like the odds were like 100 to 1. So they break camp, and we see Gandalf ride out. Now, the reason why they show him with Pippin is because originally it was shot that Gandalf was arriving in Minas Tirith as they were running away from Osgiliath. And everybody's like, well, why didn't Gandalf shoot fireballs and shit? And it's like, he's the wielder of it. Doesn't mean he has permission to use it.
Right.
The Flame of Arnor. So, Orange Hat, interesting you brought that up because I heard rumors that fell beasts may be corrupt great eagles. Probably would be why the eagles hated him so much. But I don't know if that is true or not, though.
We could look that up before the appendices.
However, Neozoic, I will admit, as I was watching this movie, I kind of, in my mind, was seeing if the eagles could have been, or what it would look like to see an eagle morphing into a foul beast. I will fully admit that I actually had that running through my head at one time. So, like, could they have been corrupted eagles? What was? Because honestly, that is it's insane that you bring that up, because that is literally, it's like, where did these things come from? Because I know that they were twisted, but where could they have been eagles?
Twisted
Well,
from
it
what?
doesn't make sense because eagles don't have such long necks. But then again, their heads are so squat like eagles. God damn, this is such. My mind was going like a million miles an hour. I have ADHD, so it's like fucking. This could.
You're like thinking
Could
about
they
it
be?
and then extra
Well,
thinking
the
about
one
it.
thing you have to remember is everything that they designed was designed as a back from Alan Lee and John Howe's illustrations, and
Mhm.
there are similarities in the design for the fell beasts in the films to what Alan Lee and John Howe did for the different illustrations for the books. But none of the illustrations necessarily looked like an eagle, but at the same time, Tolkien's description of these things and where they could have come from isn't that specific. I mean,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
not
he
detailed.
mapped this thing out. He built this world from the first stone up. But there were some things he still left somewhat vague, and
Yes.
you could make a very good circumstantial argument that the fell beasts were corrupted or tortured or mutilated eagles, but the question is, where did they get the eagles from? Where did they get the hatchlings from? That's the question. Because that would be a climb that I don't think any orc would even attempt to make, no matter how much they were compelled by Sauron or anybody else.
Right, because they are Maiar.
Hmm.
I'd have to. Yeah, we could look it up for the
Yeah.
appendices one
Yeah.
for next week.
So we then get our introduction to Gothmog as is, because Faramir's captain ends up getting separated from everybody, and I love how Gothmog just comes in and he looks up at Gothmog, and Gothmog's like, "Give me your fucking," and just scoot across that dude with and it's like, "You dare look upon me? You're not worthy of." Like, oh shit, man! And
Yeah.
he spouts it out. The age of men is over. The time for the orc has come. And the bridges, or their bridges,
Not
drawn
likely.
down, and they're just running in.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say. It's gonna be a short-lived age. It's not gonna
Yep.
last long because you're all about to get
So-
your asses kicked.
We then see Denethor, or Pippin is sworn in, and Denethor's suicide order, because, or after they're all safe, and he's like, they immediately go to it. It's like, you would have risked our utter ruin. You sent or the Ring of Power into Mordor in the hands of a witless halfling, yada yada yada, and he ends up having more madness where he sees his son behind his other son that he absolutely ignores. And it's like, hey, yeah, leave me. It's just John Noble,
Screw
man.
you, Dad.
He plays it so fucking well.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I
he
would
really
have if I had been
does.
Faramir, but all right. If I had been Faramir, you know, like, screw you, old man. Screw you, and screw that stupid chair you sit on every day. Yeah, my brother's dead. He's a better man than you. Go charge your damn ass self. That's what I would have
Yep.
said to him. No, I'm not going
Well,
out there. I'm not committing my men to a suicide mission. You want Asclepius back? You go do it yourself, you lazy effer. Do it
Well,
yourself.
what I like to think,
Except that
what I
if
like to
he would have
think
said
though,
that,
You
his
do
own
it.
life would have been forfeit.
correct.
Oh, yeah.
Also, like we
you
have
think
to
Ian
remember,
Man was
like
actually
Tolkien
gonna
wrote
try and
these.
lay a hand on Faramir. That Faramir had more respect from the guards than Denethor did. Denethor was a
Yeah.
bitch.
Except that
He
he
was
also
Sauron's
wanted,
bitch.
or
Mhm.
yeah, except that Faramir also wanted his father's approval. He would never have
Right.
disobeyed, or he would never have stood up to his father, or he tried standing up to his father. He's like, I would not wield the ring, not if Minas Tirith was in flames and I alone could save her. I mean, that is actually reflective of his
And
his actual self in the books, where he was
I have no
absolutely
respect to
not
Faramir, but
influenced.
It's also,
Mhm.
think of it as a general, and you're a soldier, and you're given an order. You know, like,
Exactly.
and Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings, like post World War, after he had fought in a World War. So you can think from where he was coming from, how many orders that he was given by his superior officer telling him to do something that he knew was a bad idea, but went with it anyway. You know what I mean? So like if that's where Tolkien's coming from in writing this, you can kind of just see like the parallels in his own life. Like, oh, he was a soldier. He probably saw superior officers giving really shitty instruction and sending his men off to death, and he just had to obey orders. And it's beautifully sad, it's beautifully sad, because when Faramir walks off and he's like, when I return, father, like, think better of me, and he goes, it would depend on the manner of your return. It breaks your heart. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, man, Faramir can't catch a frickin' break. Like,
Even though Gandalf pretty much tells him, like, later on, before he leaves.
Understand that I am being
Anyway, Gandalf pretty much tells Faramir, is like, your father loves you, Faramir. He will know it before the end.
I am being a little bit
after we're
here.
done.
I mean, that's obvious.
No, I get you. I'm just saying, like, in the perspective of the grand scheme, it's beautiful.
No,
and it's sad,
I understand that, because I do understand Tolkien's mentality and everything. A soldier having to follow a foolhardy order from a dumbass who doesn't know their ass from a hole in the ground. No, I get that. I do.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I mean, Tolkien served in the First World War, and that very much framed his mentality for the rest of his life.
Right, like the Fall of Gondolin was basically
it.
written after he saw like a whole city destroyed. Yeah, right.
Henry, you were saying, Orange?
I mean, him after the Battle of the Somme and everything, seeing all those bodies and all the mortar holes and the trenches and everything was a direct reference of the Marshes of the Dead.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting a little off track. Moving on.
After this stream, I got something crazy to tell you all. It has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings, but it is insane. But I will tell you after the stream is done.
Okay.
10-4.
But cool. So continuing on, we get the. Let's see here. Let's get to the right part. Rohan and the Dimholt, or the Beacons of Minas Tirith were lit. That was a nice shot there. So, but we're already past that. It was a great scene. But we got to move past it. So Rohan gets to the Dimholt Road, but I do like when they're leaving Edoras and Mary offers a service. But when he's on the right, or when he's on his horseback, when Theoden is looking out, and you hear, so it is to become, or it is in front of Minas Tirith where the doom of our time is decided. But Bernard Hill in the audio commentary, he's like, I wish they would just cut something, or I wanted them to cut something over this track. Like, okay, did I leave the porch, or did I leave the stove on? Did I get everything that I needed? Or do we have the right amount of spears? Stuff like that. I mean, Bernard Hill is such a great or funny dude, man. But anyway,
he really is.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just like one of those times where it's like, okay, do I have everything I need? Did I remember to do everything? Did I turn the stove off? Here we go. But anyway, at
like his list.
Road, we see we see Aragorn meet with
Elrond.
Thank you. And we get the Sword of Elendil and Andoril. And we hear him take he's told to take the Dimholt Road. Now, I do believe that there is a poem that Skyhound wants to recite as they take the Dimholt Road. But before we get to that, we got to deal with Eowyn's heartbreak, because she just goes off on Aragorn. She's like, you can't do this, man. Why have you come? Do you not know? Honey, you're great. You're blonde. I can't be with you. I can't. It doesn't exactly go with that. But he's basically saying it is a shadow and a thought that you love. I cannot give you what you seek. So she's brokenhearted but and she receives the best news that she could possibly get afterward, that she's going to lead Edoras afterward. Not Éomer, Éowyn, which is a wonderful thing too. But she's like, what other duty would you have me do, my lord? Yeah, she's like, what other duty would you have me do, my lord? I would have you smile again.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that she had, or something is just broken her heart a little
wrong.
bit.
In the books, when Aragorn rejects her, he's very stern and stoic about it. And even like the narration says, like only somebody who knew Aragorn very closely would know that it also broke his heart, that he was very emotional about it as well. Because like in her eyes, he's being like just cold. Yeah. And it's not, he's trying to, because, you know, like think about it in his mind, like his lady love is potentially gone or whatever. And so this is a potential second match, or, you know, not like second best, but like, you know, it would be a good match if he had picked her, you know.
Side chick.
Right. But obviously, you know, we'll get to it, but there are better things for Éowyn in the future.
Yes.
Ambassador.
Because she gets a good fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest here. She doesn't get Aragorn, but she gets Faramir, and let's be honest here. Faramir is more of a lover than he is a fighter, and that's what she needs.
Oh, and he's smooth as fuck in the books. He's smooth as shit in the books. He's so smooth in the healing rooms. I was like, dang, boy. Okay.
Well, we know what Kate thinks about late at night.
Look, he's so smooth. There's a line where she's like, he's like wooing her, and they're hanging out and getting all healed up and stuff, and they're like taking walks together, and she's like, I'm no longer want to be, you know, married to a king, and he's like, well, it's a good thing I'm not a king then, and you're just like, damn, boy.
By the way, folks, Kate is saying this while blushing. That's why she's not on camera.
You know it.
Probably.
You fucking know it.
You know,
I've got a childish grin on my face.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest here. You mentioned
he's a manly man.
Win-win. She likes blondes. He likes blondes. Yeah, it's Faramir. I mean, he does have the big broad shoulders like his brother and everything, but he's not bad looking. At least he looks better than his father.
All right,
a corpse looks better than Denethor. Sorry, I have a lot of, you know what? I know some people say, "Oh, we should feel bad for Denethor." No, we should not feel bad for Denethor. Denethor was a prick who only favored his elder son. No, he's younger, so he should. If you're gonna have kids, you're gonna love them both. You're not gonna favor one and be a bitch to the other. I got a big hate on for Denethor, and I'm glad he burned alive. And I hope I hope his fall was. I hope he was conscious for that fall. And I think the only good use he ever did his entire life is maybe, just maybe, he landed on a couple of orcs when he finally hit the ground.
No, he made two good.
I would have said
he brought two good sons into the world. So you know,
mother's genes.
No, his wife made. His mother made two good sons.
Mother's genes.
He was just an asshole.
But a man was involved in the making of the sons.
Who sat on a little black chair and looked into a magic rock.
Anyway.
Tell us how you really feel, Ambassador.
I have 0 F's to give when it comes to Denethor. Denethor is an asshole. And
are you done? Are you done?
Anyway.
Sorry.
Air high five.
I don't like Denethor. I'm glad he's dead.
We know.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Okay.
As we're getting to as they're going to
sorry.
Aragorn is pretty much like thinking of going alone. Gimli points out, so where do you think you're going? He's like, not this time, Gimli. You need to stay. And he's like, And he's like, Legolas is simply pointing out to Aragorn, have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of dwarves? You might as well accept it. We're going with you, laddie.
We're coming with you, laddie. Yeah.
So we get into the Dimholt Road, and I'll let Skyhound take it from here because I did say that he could recite the poem that Legolas recites. So
it only shows a part of it,
take
but
away.
the full thing says, "Over the land there lies a long shadow, westward reaching wings of darkness. The tower trembles to the tomb of kings. Doom approaches. The dead awaken, for the hour is coming for the oath breakers. At the stone of Eric they shall ride again. They shall stand again, and hear there a horn in the hill ringing. Who shall the horn be? Who shall call them from the great twilight? The forgotten people, the heir of him to whom the oath they swore. From the north shall he come. Need shall drive him. He shall pass the door to the paths of the dead."
Yep.
Love it.
And I also do
Love
like
it.
how earlier when they all arrive at
Delivery.
the
Very
place,
nice delivery.
very nice delivery. And when they arrive there, Aragorn's looking down the road, and he actually sees the dead king looking out at him.
Mhm.
And it's like, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? Oh my god! But also the dead king's like, who the hell's on my mountain?
Mhm.
So basically, the dead king was there. He's just tricking it.
Right.
He's like, who are all these people on my mountain, and why are they here? Just leave us alone. We don't want any. Except that, yeah, they don't
The heir
realize
of
that somebody
Elendil.
important. Yep.
Right.
And I love getting into it because we are getting to the. Well, hold on a minute. Pass it. Yes, we can get there. So they go in, and we do get the line from Gimli where there's a thing unheard of: a dwarf or an elf go underground where a dwarf dare not.
Dwarf, they're not.
I would never
I'll
hear
never hear
the
the
end
end of it.
Yep.
And
And I
Gimli is
love
pretty
this.
much the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
He's the butt
And
of
I
the
love
joke.
how he goes in, and freaking Aragorn's like, "Do not look down." And so fucking Gimli, he's like,
What does he do? He looks down.
and then he starts. He's like, stunt crunch.
Because it's almost like, oh shit, are we being disrespectful to this grave?
Right?
But
And-
it makes
Is
you
it just
wonder,
one
like,
big grave?
how many people lived in this mountain because they were cursed, right? So
Right.
effectively, they were
Yeah.
probably able to reproduce for the next,
No, they couldn't.
whatever amount
They
of
were all
time.
left to die, or they were left to die because they were, or Isildur cursed them never to rest.
Right.
And also, no
Mhm.
women were
Right.
with them.
It
So
was all
yeah,
nice.
they were pretty dry, or they were dry unto death. But there's one freaking, or when the dead city comes out and the army comes out, I see one freaking one ghost looking at Gimli like, mother, or I can imagine this. It's like one ghost is looking at Gimli like, you fucker, you stepped on my head.
Yeah.
But I love the reveal. I do love the reveal of the dead city and whatnot. And
And the
it's-
laughter when
shut.
he's like, ha 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 ha,
When
and
the
you're
king's
like, and it
laughing.
echoes.
and you
Yeah.
see
so
his
good.
face phasing from flesh to bone.
The
And-
ghost army is pretty lit. Like, yeah.
Hold on one second, Kamen Rider. I should go on that wiki page about and it's okay, Kamen Rider, because there's some stuff that I actually want a little anonymity to, and that's all I'm going to really say. That I understand that or some mistakes were made, but it's good that they were, because a little bit of incorrect information is good. That way, people can't misdirection.
They can't really trace it.
Yeah. But anyway, getting back into it, I like how, or I'm going to recite the dead king's words. He's like, "We do not suffer the living to pass." And then he goes over, "The way is shut. It was made by those who are dead, and the dead keep it. The way is shut, and now you must die." And
So fucking metal. So
it's
metal.
such a great line. "I summon you to fulfill your oath. None but the king of Gondor may command me." And when he goes to swing, it's like, "Yep, nope, denied, motherfucker."
Also, Aragorn's line after he says, the dead do not suffer the living to pass," and he's like, "You will suffer me," and I'm like, yes.
Yep. And so he's like, "That line was broken. It has been remade." And I like how he's like, "Fight for us and regain your honor." These guys are all looking at him like, could this be our, or the soldiers themselves are probably thinking to themselves, could this be our out? Could this be our moment to finally rest, to earn our rest? And the dead king is smiling at him. The dead king's like, all right, you think you're bad? Okay, got that sword. You're part of that line. We'll give you one test. Folks, we're going to go bowling. Bowling with our own skulls. Somebody stole a bunch of those, or somebody stole some of those skulls out from that place too, by the way. Somebody stole some of those skulls from the set and whatnot. They never will announce who, but yeah. Anyway, they make it out and they see that the Corsair ships, and they see that Corsair ships that were meant to be recruited are laying waste as they go across or go down the river. And so he realized, oh crap. Well, don't worry, Aragorn. King behind you is like, yeah, we're gonna fight for you. We will do it. And that's
one thing I didn't like about the extended, and I liked the theatrical better. Is you're like, oh shit, he just said no to him. Like now they're fucked. Like, you know what I mean? So I like the theatrical a little bit better just in this scene where it's like implied, okay, like he's gonna join him. But in the extended, you're like, oh no, he failed his mission to the mountain. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like another hit, another hit to him. And you're like, oh shit,
Because at this point, he's pretty much feeling like a failure.
Right, and you know that all of Rohan, all of their 6,000 that they mustered or whatever, it's not enough. Like, they're going to get massacred.
So we get to the siege of Minas Tirith, Denethor's madness, and we see Denethor is pissed off because his son is dead, except that Pippin's like, he's not dead, he's alive, he needs medicine. Except that Denethor is just beyond reason at this point.
He's gone. He's gone.
And I love this. I just love how he sees the host outside. He sees the enemy outside his gates. And he's like, Rohan's betrayed me. Or Rohan's deserted us. Thanos betrayed. Host! Flee for your lives. Gandalf's had enough of that shit, so he's like,
and he just whacks him.
Knocks him out.
Prepare for battle. Gandalf just steps up because he has had enough of this shit. Return to your post, get back to the wall, and send these foul creatures into the abyss. And they're using chunks of their own fucking city to throw at these boys or to throw at the orcs. And I love it. It's like,
me too.
You see that these things take out like dozens of orcs, man. And it's catapults versus trebuchets. Trebuchets, folks, get a lot more or better because range, not to mention they could carry or they could throw harder.
And you see it when it spins, and you're like, oh,
and
they got the trebuchets right in this movie.
Yes, they did.
Is
almost get
fucking
squashed.
Savage.
Oh
Gothmog
yeah,
is savage.
Gothmog is savage. Yeah, when they're all chanting.
Yes, he dodged it, but he's like, fear. The city is rank with it. Let's ease their pain. Release the prisoners.
That was good. That's why. That was good.
Heads. He fucking launches the heads in on him, and they're like,
"Oh my god!" Little psychological warfare right there.
Yeah.
And so he scares them up there, and then you got the 9 fucking coming down on him, and you got the Witch King in full Galia, basically like, it's not just the 9 motherfuckers, it's me too. Fear. Everybody is running, because even when Pippin is out there, all of the soldiers of Gondor are freaking screaming. Because the Witch, it's not just the 9. The 9, if it was the other 8 without the Witch King, they would, or not everybody would be terrified. But the Witch King's power is like by a factor.
He's like the head of
greater than the other 8. He is far stronger than them. So his fear is not just fear; it's terror.
Yeah.
So when he
Plus, they see the
screeches,
heads of their
they
friends
feel
from
it.
Osgiliath
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. Like,
So
yeah.
it's not just fear
correct me
tactics
if I'm-
and psychological warfare. It's freaking terror tactics, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They went full blown
Correct me if I'm
ISIS
wrong,
on
but-
his ass.
Oh, yeah.
Full-blown ISIS. Meanwhile,
me
the
if I'm
city's
wrong.
run by fucking Biden.
Pretty much. Yep.
Good one,
I
you was coming.
had to. I'm sorry.
The what? Fist bump, girl. Fist bump. Holy
Fist
shit.
bump, hey, Bill!
But
That was-
freaking ISIS is at the gates. Freaking Biden's fucking in charge. Holy shit.
That's what
If
I
it
love
wasn't-
about this. That's
it
what I
wasn't
love
for-
about these stories is there's so many parallels to the real world.
Oh,
Even though
yeah.
it's this fantasy world out in like
Mhm.
Middle Earth and it's
Folks.
totally like there's so many parallels to real life. I love
1
it.
second,
I love
Oh,
Kate.
it.
yeah.
Folks, we're going to go a little bit political because now Kate just put me in the mindset for a little bit.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Good thing too,
Do
because
it.
you're all
Do
you
it.
you are all
Do
gonna
it.
laugh at
Please,
this.
I may help you.
We see freaking Biden or somebody paints a face over of Biden over Denethor and put freaking Trump as Mithrandir. Trump as Mithrandir, cracking him and knocking him down.
Yes!
Prepare for battle.
Yeah!
Oh my god. Somebody needs to
I'll
do
do it.
that on
I will
Twitter.
do it. I will do
Somebody
it. I will
needs
do
to do
it.
that.
I promise you, I will do it. Since I have the time, I will.
Holy
I'll make
shit,
the time.
dude. You
Sometime
would
this
win
week,
the
I will
fucking
do it. I will
internet
be
for
ready
that.
for next week.
Do it. You'll win the whole
Yes,
internet.
we need to do it because holy crap, that would just be so great.
I,
And we can also freaking, oh my god, we will share that shit all over fucking
Oh,
Twitter,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I
do
will
it.
do
I mean,
it. Just give me a couple
imagine
days
the
to work on it.
meltdowns.
I will do it
It
for
would be
you.
beyond
Just-
epic.
Just
We're
freaking
getting canceled.
Denethor.
We're getting
Denethor-
canceled.
Oh yeah.
I-
Denethor basically
Cancel.
saying abandon your post, flee for your lives,
Your-
and then just have freaking Trump as
As
start
Mithrandir.
smack him, crack him, and back him, and then just say, or then just say, make America great again, or some shit like that.
No. Better. You're fired.
Yes. Yes.
We're
Press
gonna
the like
make
button,
we're
folks.
gonna make Minas Tirith. We're gonna make it huge. We're gonna make it bigger. We're gonna make it great again. We're gonna make Minas
Yeah.
Tirith great again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
all
my
right.
god.
Oh man.
But
Correct me
getting
if
back
I'm
to
wrong.
it.
Okay. Here's a question I have now. The Witch King. Before he was turned, wasn't he like a really powerful sorcerer or something? That's why he was
Yeah.
returned
I do believe
referred to as the
Angmar.
Witch King of Angmar.
Yeah, I do
Or
believe he was.
just-
Yeah, because Angmar was the big bad area before
Yeah.
Mordor was.
Up north.
Yeah.
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 And when you see in the extended editions, when you see the Witch King meet up with Gandalf, he actually
Yeah.
like destroys his staff, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
fuck.
But that doesn't happen in the books.
It doesn't
No.
happen.
That
No,
doesn't
no.
happen in the books.
and
No,
we will
no.
get to that. We will get to that because also before the fight, we see Gothmog and the Witch King talking to each other, and it's the same actor talking to himself,
Mhm.
but it's also the
Yeah.
voice of the voices of Gothmog and the Witch King is Andy Serkis.
Yeah. Damn, that man had
All right.
man. That
No,
man
wait,
has
I
That
range.
think-
man is
no.
talented.
Andy Serkis, I don't think he voices the voice of Gothmog. Does he?
No, but he
I-
does do the Witch King.
He
Pretty
does
sure.
do
Yes,
the
the
Witch
Witch
King.
King.
He does the
And
Witch King.
I
But
want
I think
folks, just so you know, I am going to recite his freaking words with that fight. I want to recite those. No
Do it.
interruption, none of that,
that
shit.
one's
but I'm
yours,
gonna
son.
re-recite
That
it
one's yours. That one's all
Yes.
yours.
because I absolutely love that freaking scene. Now, where are we? Oh, all right. So we get to the fight of Minas Tirith, and freaking Denethor's lost his mind, and he's basically doing a funeral procession for Faramir, and we see that the flowering has begun. Hope is, in fact, kindled on Minas Tirith. But we also see, I love how we see the orcs running with a standard battering ram against the gates of Gondor. And they're just going at it, and it's like, archers? slaughter. And Gothmog's coming in. He's like, where are you going? Nothing, or the door's too strong. It won't give. Get back there, man. He's like, but none can breach it. Grond will breach it.
Bring up the wolf's head.
Folks, the design for
I can do a great orc's voice.
Yes.
I loved
the design for Grond.
It's good.
What was it? What was the poem on Grond's head? I'm gonna look that up right now.
But Grond was actually...
But it's not just a normal... Go ahead, Ambassador.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, Grond was the name of Morgoth's or Melkor's warhammer, the weapon he used the most. The design of Grond in the movie is reminiscent of when, I think it's either Sauron or Morgoth transforms themselves into a giant wolf, essentially. That's where the inspiration for the design came from, but the name itself is in reference to Morgoth's warhammer, which is just basically, if you've ever played Skyrim, it's just a really big, massive hammer that you use to smash people in the face with.
Which gives you an idea of how big and terrifying Melkor / Morgoth was. Yeah, and it had magical abilities to it. Like their chanting, and when it's hitting the gate,
it would have.
When it's hitting the gate, that also it brings a level of fear and terror more than just the Witch King and the heads and like the psychological warfare that we had talked about. Like it's like your doom is coming. Basically, their chant enchanted. Is like it's been enchanted. Yep.
Okay, so I got the thing up, and I'm going to read a passage from Return of the King. Great engines crawled across the field, and in the midst was a huge ram, great as a forest tree, 100 feet in length, swinging on mighty chains. Long had forging in the dark smithies of Mordor, and its hideous head, founded of black steel, was shaped in the likeness of a ravening wolf. On it spells of ruin lay. Grond they named it, in memory of the hammer of the underworld of old. Great beasts drew it. Orcs surrounded it, and behind walked mountain trolls to wield it. So, yeah.
I like to when Mithrandir's is like, take down the trolls, because they're like shooting at the fucking Grond stuff.
Yeah, they're shooting at the fucking towers, man.
And
it's like, bring down the trolls.
And it's like, dude, what are you?
Like, are you stupid? Take down, like, he was a necessary man to have behind the wall.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, because one of the guys who was in charge of a workshop says that they put like this small poem on Grond in black speech, and he actually read it out during the appendices. We're gonna have to look that up for next week, folks. But yeah, it's
look that up for next week.
Basically, it ends as Grond, the will of Mordor. So I'm definitely going to have to look that up, because I'm going to be watching the appendices for Return of the King for that one. You guys can watch the appendices for Two Towers and Fellowship. But anyway, we'll get to Grond kicking in a moment. Where is the next one here? Denethor's no, Witch King, no, Sam. Yes, Sam, or into the cave, Shelob's cave. When they finally get up there, because at this point Frodo has sent Sam away. In the movies, not in the books. And Sam, while Frodo is busy with Shelob, he finds the bread that Gollum tossed, and freaking Sean Astin, dude. Oh, excuse me, I got hiccups. He's like, I wish they would have shot me like with Sam just climbing back up, just ripping into the Elvish way breads to give him energy to get back up there. And it's like, oh my god, dude, you are so.
That would have been funny.
Well, because
the
he went
card.
like he had like you know how long it took them to climb up the first time,
Mhm.
and then he like falls, and you're like, oh no,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
he had been traveling
was
down
hoofing
for
it.
quite a bit of time, and then he was just like
was
marathon
livid.
manning it up that mountain afterwards. He's like, I'm gonna go
Oh
get
yeah,
my
when he
friend.
saw
Like,
that,
yeah.
he had murder in his
Samwise was a
freaking
freaking beast.
Sam
He went into
is my hero.
beast mode.
He was pissed.
Sam is the real hero of this whole thing, you know, in my
You
mind.
know,
That's pretty much what
now
Orange
the
has
thing
pointed
that
out.
the thing that really was cool to see was when Gollum was talking to Frodo to get him to go in, and when Frodo's like, I don't want to, and so when he's saying it's the only way, meaning Smeagol was saying it's the only, and then Gollum took over because he realized Smeagol was freaking out. He didn't want Smeagol to ruin it. So it's like, it's the only way. If you notice him, that way that he said,
he
go in
changes
or go
his
back.
speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his, not just the speech, it's his tone. Everything changed because it was Gollum taking over. And then so we see the when the light of Elendil or Erendil comes in, and well, yeah, Shelob has kind of warts and shit all over her eyes. She is a spawn of Ungoliant. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ungoliant is the mother of all fucking spiders, folks.
And she was
I
like
have a little bit of
BFFs with
arachnophobia.
yeah. She was like BFFs with
So that's
Melkor when they broke into Valinor, and that's a whole thing we can get into next week maybe. But
A little bit, yeah. But
like they're terrifying beasts, you know.
oh yeah. I mean, freaking
they're not normal spiders. They're almost like they're like
Right.
uber spiders, but they all the designs I've seen for Ungoliant, that's how I pronounce it. I don't know if it's correct, but
Ungoliant. Yeah.
She doesn't look like she doesn't look like a spider. She just looks like a massive black mass with legs. Looks
Well,
like
and
something
her
out of your
origin
worst possible
too
nightmare
is
about
that
a
she was
spider.
just spinning her webs of deceit, and then like she takes on the appearance of a spider because she's spinning the webs of her, you know, evil basically. So she you know, she's not originally a spider who gets large. She's just like this evil creature.
Malevolence.
Essentially.
Yeah, entity. Yeah. Malevolence. Yeah. And because of the way that she does her ooh, great question. Because of the way that she spins her webs of evil, she kind of takes on that
And
visage.
my answer for this: Witch King first, Sauron second, Saruman third, Shelob
Depends on which
fourth.
Balrog. Depends on which Balrog.
If you're talking about Durnsbane, he's definitely up there in the top 5. The rest of them, Shelob, Lurtz, Gothmog, they all fall to the wayside or to the lower half. But yeah, Witch King, Sauron, and the Balrog are top ones. Hey, Mega Jetty, good to see you. It's okay, but and thank you for stopping in. Make sure that you all smash the like button while you're at it, and share the stream out if you want. More voices and more people in chat help get the channel noticed, and also helps with the watch time because I'm still trying to get 1,100 hours. So we get the thing with Shelob, and I like how when Frodo gets out there, he kind of has that moment where he collapses, and we see Galadriel give him a pick me up. She basically shot him full of coffee in the ass, and
but it was a great scene to separate all of the horror that we've just seen. You know, to get this moment of like, hey, if you do not find a way, no one will. And she smiles and picks him up, and you know, you are gifted the light of, you know, our most beloved star, you know, and it's just like a moment of hope, and it's beautiful. I love it.
It is.
And so we get to or we go back let's see here. So yes, we're going to cover the whole Shelob sequence with or everything from here before we go back to Grand. And that or after Shelob basically gives a pinch to or gives a sting to Frodo. Frodo or Elijah Wood, all credit to him.
Mhm.
He is a person that can do staring without blinking for real. So that man could win
He's got
staring
some
contests
creepy
for
eyes
days.
sometimes.
He also has the biggest freaking eyes you've ever seen in an actor. But
Oh,
when the arm that comes in that's like this with Holden Sting, that's Peter Jackson's arm.
I remember that. Yeah,
Because he's like,
I remember hearing that.
they weren't getting the shot right, and it's like, oh, just give me the fucking shit. Give me the sword, give me the cloak, give me the clothes. Sam, strip. Or freaking Sean, strip. Give me that shit.
Mhm.
And then, because he does it, and it's like, you know what? That is actually a good freaking entrance. And I love that he's like, let him go, you filth.
Oh, you-
Let him go. And that's when she drops him, and it's like, oh, okay, I didn't expect you to actually let him go. You won't touch him again.
Again.
And
So
I love that he
on,
fights her
vicious.
with like the pans on. Like he still has his backpack with the
There's all
pans.
that shit
Like,
still on.
yeah.
Sam's the real OG.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
actually
He's
beats
got like
her, too.
3 cast
He
iron
is.
pans on his backpack. Like
Uh,
I mean, it's freaking hilarious. And he actually beats her too. Now, considering the
Mhm.
size of a hobbit, the men and whatnot, and Shelob's usually used to eating orcs and
Mhm.
shit. How does Shelob stab through the mithril? She doesn't. It goes into his body.
Mhm.
The pierce is so strong that it pierces
underneath,
it pierces through the mithril into his body. It doesn't pierce the mithril, but it stabs into his body, which causes which is essentially the same thing that happened when when the troll stabbed him in Fellowship.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
just a really hard jab in, which allows the poison to seep through. Or she stabbed him in the leg or some shit.
I always figured she got him below the belt.
The
You know,
vest.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
That was
that could be.
Yeah, she definitely
that was what my thinking too.
she nut shot at him with her nut. Anyway,
Gross.
Seriously.
yes. Anyway, so after we get Shagrat, who is one of the captains of Mordor, comes down and they take off, and that's the end of book 2, or that's the end of Two Towers, the book,
Mhm.
where they're dragging off Frodo. But Samwise is like freaked out because he thinks that Frodo's dead.
And then
And-
Shagrat pretty much tells him, this fellow's ain't dead. She jabs him with her
Yeah,
stinger and he
and I
goes
like the
limp
guy
as a
that plays him.
fish.
Yep, and I like how he plays him because he's like, that's how he does it. Fresh blood. This dude
Mhm.
plays the orc pretty well, the guy that played Shagrat. And
Oh, yeah.
so they drag him off, and then we're back to the Siege of Gondor, where Grand breaks through, and I love, it's like, you are soldiers of Gondor, no matter what comes through that gate, you will stand your ground. And that is such a freaking meme. I turned it into a GIF, but that is such a freaking meme.
It's such a meme.
It's like when you tell your girlfriend to relax and you see the ... for 15 minutes on your chat, no matter what comes through that message, you will stand your ground. And so
And it's a bunch of trolls.
Then when we see those trolls coming in with the freaking
Mhm.
horned helmets, and you see Gandalf like, oh shit, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
expecting
just
like
as bad
Uh-huh.
orcs and shit.
orcs.
Yeah.
There's lots of orcs.
It's like, dude, get all your freaking archers and get ready to freaking fire. That's what I mean. It's like, get
Mhm.
all your freaking archers and get ready to fire, because whatever comes through, you want to stop that wave. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
a bunch of them just start coming in, and I like how he takes out a couple of them, and then freaking what's his name comes out to report, well, Denethor's lost
Pippin.
his mind,
Oh, Pippin.
Yeah.
and he's burning Faramir alive because he followed Denethor in there, and he's like, he's not dead. He kicks him out, and he releases him from his service. So it's like kind of like Heimdall And he almost,
Mhm.
or it's like, dude, first thing I would have done, stab the fuck out of Denethor. But hey, when he throws Pippin, that's actually Billy Boyd's stunt
Mhm.
female short person who does the role, and then Pippin just comes up into frame to finish out the role, which is a nice little turn that they did. So when he reports and we get up to it, they start riding in, and well, Witch King arrives, and I love it's like, and I actually noticed this while I was watching. Shadowfax doesn't cower away in the movie.
Mhm.
He stays in there, and he stays right up front with the Fell Beast and with the Witch King there. And I love it. He's like, go back to the abyss, fall into the nothingness that awaits your master. And I just love it's like, do you not know death when you see it, old man? This is my hour. I mean, the way that he just freaking says it, it's like he's asking it as a genuine question. He's like, do you not know death when you see it, old man? Because
death.
it's like that is true. He has,
Yes.
but this is one that he has not been tested essentially from the first movie.
Yeah.
There are some forces that are greater than I am, and some forces that I have not yet been tested. And in the movie, he fails against the Witch King because the Witch King draws out essentially what it is seeing is the spear of flame or a sword of flame. But what he is doing is basically drawing out magic.
Yeah.
He is siphoning magic, essentially, is what they're doing. And that is why his staff shatters. It's because he drains the staff of all of its power. And it's like, okay, as he said, what of the wizard? I will break him. And he does. And he tells him, he's like, you failed, the world of men will fall. And when he's about to do the coup de grace, well, we get one of the greatest moments in cinematic history, folks. We hear the horn, and it's like, I'll kill you later.
He goes,
like, I'll kill you later, man. And so he comes out, and we see freaking Gothmog looking like, what the hell is it? Oh, shit.
The cavalry
Reinforcements.
Yeah.
Yes, MJ1, Mega Jetty. Technically, the stinger wasn't a thing in the books. It was her fangs, but she did sting him in the shoulder when he has the shirt removed in one of the wounds on his torso.
There was a mark.
Yeah. Two things not in the movie, but in other material I wish we got. Sam seeing Mordor with the grass and flowers, be it the ring's influence or the distant lords or lands, and the two statues. Yes, the two statues that the gate guardians. That was actually something that a lot of people wanted to see but didn't, because they actually try to repel him even though he has the ring on. They can actually see him. And however, here's the thing. This is actually, I'm not going to say this is a mistake on Tolkien's part, but this is a part that doesn't make sense. If that ring is on so close to Mordor, wouldn't Sauron have seen it?
Arguably, yes.
And so the theory is because Shelob acts under her own power or whatever, and agency, and because he was like in a mountain or like in, he wasn't, or Sam, when he has the ring on, he's like in, like a secluded little area. Plus, Sauron at this point is so focused on Elendil, and he thinks that the ring is in Minas Tirith. He's not even. He's kind of just blinded and tunnel visioned. So yes,
sense.
he would have, like, you'd think that, oh, they were really close to Mordor, he would have sensed it or whatever. But he was so, like, there was so many other things going on, and he was so blinded by his own hatred for the heir of Elendil, and he had seen Pippin. he was just tunnel vision to Minas Tirith at that point. He was like, let me just fuck them up, and then I'll get my ring back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Gothmog was my stepdad's favorite character. Oh, nice. Mega Jetty. And yeah, like even when wounded, Shelob's webs of darkness mask Sam. Oh, nice.
Oh, it's a question. It's he's like her cave and whatnot, like mask her own magic,
Her own
like because
evil.
she acts under her own agency. She's not
She eats orcs.
right. She's not a servant of Sauron.
She's like, fuck you. If your men come into my area, I'm going to eat them. I'm hungry. And I haven't eaten in a while. And your orcs,
just like,
as bad as they taste, I'm going to love eating them.
and,
so fuck off.
And, the argument could be said that she's a servant of Melkor because of her mother, was like BFFs with, not BFFs, but, co-conspirator.
Basically, yeah. She's like, you're not Melkor, or you're not Morgoth.
Yeah, she's just
quit the peep show. Look look away.
Right, like I do my own thing, bitch. Like,
yep,
pretty much.
Another possibility is he did see him when he finally sent his forces there. Sam and Frodo were already gone. No. Hence, they acquired the mithril shirt. It was actually because Sam or Frodo was stripped down. I mean, he knows that a halfling was brought in. It just didn't have the ring. So it's like, well, fuck, this is useless.
Right.
So let's see here. We got Denethor's about to freaking light up his son and himself. And there's a guy that was one of the set dressers and whatnot during Return of the King, and during the appendices, he's like, and I know there wasn't a snowflake's chance in hell that we were going to get this horse anywhere near burning FAGGOTs, because he actually refers to it in the original definition of that word. And he's like,
right.
We then had a real problem of how we were going to get the scene, honestly. Well, they got the scene through smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
Mirrors is how that horse got so close to Denethor. So that horse that's kicking Denethor is a mirror showing the horse on the screen.
Which is super cool. Like, it's just super cool.
And
like, we're going to get this shot. We're going to get it.
Yeah. And you also, when you see freaking Denethor on the pier, you actually see part of his face start melting. So it's like, dang, he's actually melting there, dude. Somebody put something on John Noble to make him look like he was melting. I mean, I thought that he actually got burnt, but turns out movie magic. And so somehow this man ran like the equivalent of 2 football fields to jump or to die off or to take a freaking swan dive. And I love John Noble. He's like, honestly, I think that, or I kind of imagine him having like a parachute and it just, or he lived just horribly scarred. And I'm like, yes, that's because it's your character and you didn't want him to die. But yeah, I also like Mithrandir's like, so passes Denethor, son of Ecthelion. And so we then see the March of the Rohirrim coming in. We got to cover that, folks. It's one of the most iconic scenes. And there's when they come in and they chant death, and when you hear him say "Fourth Aelenges," I get such goosebumps.
It's like you don't there is something wrong with your soul.
I tear up. Yeah. There are many points in this movie that I tear up, and that's one of them.
Every time I see that scene, when me and Mother and Master went to see that in theaters, I was sitting right next to her, and I looked over at her, and I had tears in my eyes. I'm not gonna lie. And even
Yeah.
to this day, 45,
Mhm.
at the age of 45, when I was watching this the other day, I was like,
So
music,
good.
the dialogue,
Yeah.
the scene itself, just
especially the moment when as I recall when I was watching the behind the scenes, the actor who plays Theoden, he did point out
Bernard Hill, yeah.
that he had the sword and he was doing the whole like
Yeah.
running the sword along spears.
Yep, the spears. Go ahead.
And
That was his
specifically-
decision, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
that was his idea.
And the way how he like delivers that line of forth and fear no darkness.
Yep.
Arise, arise, riders of Theoden. Spears shall be
Shield shall be
shall be shaken. A sword day, a red day, ere the sun rises. It's so freaking good.
Yep. And when you
His
see these
speech
guys
and then the
charging-
speech in front of the Black Gate, like if that doesn't make you want to grab a sword that you either have or don't
Oh,
have,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
are
For
heartless
my
because
king!
those two rallying cries before battle are just, you're like, where's my sword? Like,
Oh,
you know.
Exactly.
Where's
Now,
my
there's
where's
this-
my freaking battle axe at? Where's my battle axe?
There's one rider of Rohan. Now, when you guys will know exactly who I'm talking about, when they start riding in and they realize, or the orcs realize that they're not stopping, and you see this one guy like really
Yes!
enthusiastic.
Yeah.
There is a
Yes, he really got into
meme
it.
out there. There is a meme out there, folks. 100% of the Rohirrim. They show all of the Rohirrim riding in, and then they show that guy 99% of the Rohirrim. it's fucking. I mean, this guy is like. I'm like,
He's ready to put
He's
some death
scarier.
down on them orcs.
That's even
Yeah.
scarier. That is even that dude himself is scarier than Aelmir getting ready with a freaking spear, man. Like, it's like
You damn right.
Well, and you
That's
see
not
the
scary.
looks on their
that guy's
faces. Yeah,
scary.
yeah. And the
That's
cut too.
Where
I
was-
think
where was
they
the rest
realized
of you
that
with
in
that
editing.
kind of attitude.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think they realized that in the editing because it's like you see that guy like, "Rrr," and then you see the orcs, like it cuts to the orcs.
We
and they're
gotta
like,
have him on screen.
Oh shit! Yeah,
Oh man, yeah.
We don't
I
have
mean,
one of
it's like-
pikes. That ain't a pike. That's not a freaking pike. That's a twig. You're about to get your ass
Yeah.
ran over, and I'm gonna
yeah.
smile
That
as you
dude.
do it.
That dude
And they
took
ran
some.
Oh, yeah.
through, man.
That dude took some like extra, crazy pills or something because he was ready to roll. You know what I
He
mean?
had Viagra for horse riders.
Yeah, and some cocaine. Like,
Dude
I-
freaking laced
you
it
know,
with cocaine. He's like, yeah, all right,
well,
let's
because
kill some fucking
they had
orcs,
been
man.
riding for 3 days before that. So like the fact that he was still like pumped, I was like, okay, damn, all right, dude.
How would I rank Fellowship?
Well, that
from-
speech by Theoden would have gotten anybody pumped and jazzed up, and
Oh.
been like, "Let's go kick some
Yeah.
other freaking
Yeah.
orc ass."
Because this is it. This
Yeah,
is
so
the battle for Middle
rank
Earth.
it. I can't rank people. I cannot rank characters. I love Gandalf the Grey and the White. I love all of these characters.
It's near
Yeah,
impossible.
same.
They're
I
definitely
agree. There's
my
no
top.
way we can
Or
rank
Gandalf or Mithrandir is definitely my top.
So
But
you're
I
his
can't
bottom.
rank the rest. I can't
Mhm.
rank the rest.
They're all
Sorry.
equally good.
it. They're all great.
Yeah, they all
It's
have
impossible.
their great moments. I mean, freaking even Mary has this great moment because, or after,
Yeah.
but we see the Rohirrim actually going in, man, and they just running through the lines of mortar. It's like 6,000 won't be able to break the lines of mortar. They just fucking did.
Mhm.
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
that's the
And
thing
then
is,
they
like,
took
you
down a
see
whole
them-
freaking cavalry worth of elephants.
They did, and
Yeah.
then you get that moment of like, oh, we're winning, and then you see like more coming in, and you're like,
Now you see the moon kill coming in.
shit.
And it's like, or driving to the river, and it's like, make safe the city. Yeah, we fucking did it. What the fuck is that chanting?
And then they
Reform
see
the
it all
line,
on the
reform the
ground.
line.
It's like,
Right.
oh shit. Reform the line. Fuck, take
Reform
it down,
the line.
motherfuckers.
Yeah,
It's like, dude,
reform
you
the
may have a
line.
death wish. We don't.
That is the only order I disagree with Theoden. You don't take them on head on. you use your speed, your mobility, and the fact that you're small and you take those things on. You use different tactics, and they finally figure it out.
Yeah,
Finally,
well, and that's
here's
why
what I would have done. Here's what I would have done. Archers, line up. Spears, line up. Throw those, or when they get a certain group
Close enough.
loose.
Well,
Right.
and
Fucking
also,
fire, man.
Eowyn, when she goes in and she's like, "Okay, Mary, take the reins," and she has the two
Yep.
swords and just
Oh,
like
yeah.
smacks them on
I
each
love
side. I'm
that.
like, yeah,
Legs, man.
yeah.
She's
Yeah,
going
that
for
was
legs.
kick-ass.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Eowyn
And-
Take out
knew
you
what to
take the
do.
mobility out of those things. Yeah, they're screwed.
She basically Achilles healed them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She sliced tendons.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's just
And
lucky
it'll-
she knew exactly. She didn't know where the tendon was, but she was just like, okay, this looks like a good spot. Slice,
Mhm.
slice, slice.
Yeah.
Do what I gotta
Yeah.
do, you know.
Mhm.
And then,
And then having that like moment with, okay, go ahead, Orange. I'm gonna get ahead of myself.
or we get that, or no, or we also see, or not Hama. What was the other one's name? Hama.
I know which
Then
one
there
you're
was
talking about.
the guy that was
Yeah.
underneath. The guy that was underneath the one that Eomer kills.
Got killed.
Mhm.
Gambling. It's like, did Gambling survive or did he get crushed? We never
I
know.
don't remember.
I
Honestly.
don't know. We don't see him during the coronation or anything after.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
It's like, did Gambling die?
R.I.P.
And yes, thank you, thank you, Mega Jetty. You guys think you guys think there are other galaxies out there? Kamen Rider, we're trying to stick to. We've had so many
Trying.
freaking divergences right now. We're trying to
Mhm.
stick with. I mean, yes,
Yeah,
I do.
dude.
There are obviously other galaxies out there, but we're trying to stick with.
Cayman, what does that have to do with Lord of the Rings? With all due respect,
No, don't yell! Don't yell at him, dude.
I'm
Don't yell
not.
at
I'm
him.
not
He's-
yelling. I'm just saying. What does that have to do with Lord of the Rings? With all due respect.
Oh, maybe different galaxies in
Well,
Middle Earth. Well,
or
no,
Middle Earth
no.
is of its own
Let's
planet.
stick. Let's.
That's
Yeah.
true.
But yes, I
Anyway.
mean, it's
Yeah,
world
anyway,
or the
moving
world of Lord of the Rings. I believe is called something else. But anyway,
Arda. But
yes,
later.
Arda, and we get to the. Now, this was something I actually discovered was done in post production years later. The talking of Gandalf and Pippin. If you look at Gandalf's sword, it's blue.
Oh,
It is. I never noticed. I honestly.
I
never
was
noticed.
watching it on 4K. That
Yep.
sword was blue.
that's a
Huh,
first.
Okay.
it was a later
And I'm
shot
like,
Be for the-
thing.
did you guys just do, or
They must have done for the 4K
Why now?
update because
Hmm.
they must
I
have
will
done for the
admit, though,
4K
that-
update
that,
because I
um,
think
it's the
When
only
it-
time he does it?
Hmm.
It's the only time it's ever freaking blue.
That's
There's
why there's a
point-
lot of push with the fans because there's a lot of scenes that didn't make it into the extended, that didn't make it into the cut scenes of the behind the scenes. They want because there's like all this unfinished stuff that they were doing, so they're not going to look peak like what we're used to in the trilogy. But there's all these like unfinished, green screen or whatever scenes that I would still love to see. Like there's still a ton of footage that hadn't
Oh,
been
yeah.
released even in the super extended bundle DVD packs. Like there's still a ton of stuff, and so maybe for like the 30th anniversary or whatever, they might start releasing some stuff. But
maybe that'd be 2031, give or take. Because it started in 2001.
MJ Media,
and
when was it,
2003.
or when again was it blue? They didn't make it blue in the movies, even though it should have shown blue because Glamdring is of the same make
Mhm.
in Gondolin as Sting and Orcrist. They should have
Yeah.
all blown blue, except that
been blue.
they wanted Sting to stand out because that was Frodo and Bilbo's sword. And it's like, yeah, but Orcrist is legendary, as is Glamdring, and they both glowed. If an orc ever broke into Theoden's, or not Theoden, but Thorin's tomb, the sword would glow and it would frighten off any who broke or who tried to rob the tomb.
Yeah.
If they were orcs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because orcs and goblins all knew the story of Orcrist.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to it, yeah, I noticed this, and it's a nice thing between he's like, death is a journey we must all take, and he describes it, and you also hear
I love that moment. It's so good.
Yeah,
And
I should use that piece of.
You've got to break up the war and the mass destruction with like these little moments, and so like editing wise, pretty great.
Yeah. And so then we get to here. The army, or the Witch King versus Eowyn. The Witch King and Eowyn. Basically, they finally get a little bit of headway over the Haradrim. They bring down their head, or the head Mumakil. And because they call them either Mumakil or Oliphants, depends on what you want to call it. And well, then we see Rally to Me, and well, so is the Witch King. He comes on in, just tears up Theoden's shit. And I love the look on Eowyn's face. It's like pure horror. And then he comes in, or she
Wouldn't
comes
you
in.
have it too, though? Like,
oh yeah, it's like my uncle just got slaughtered.
Yeah.
So she comes in, chops off the head of the fell beast, and I love it. He just he's like, okay, bitch. Or, well, he doesn't know it's a bitch. It's like, okay, pal. You want to go? Let's fucking go. I got this big ass fucking Morningstar. Now, the folks, they came in. They came in with a Morningstar for the Witch King. Peter Jackson's like, make that bigger. Okay, make it bigger. Bigger! They make it bigger. I mean, it's like Frieza from freaking Dragon Ball Z Abridged when he's fighting Goku on Namek.
Yeah.
Bigger!
Bigger! Bigger!
Bigger! Perfect. It's like they had a person underneath the camera when he lifted up this thing to push it into camera and then get their hands down, because the guy who was playing him couldn't lift it with just one hand.
Which is funny, because they should have made it out of like foam or something, just for.
They should have, but they didn't.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like they should have made it out of a lighter material.
Just absorbing just this absurd size, and it's like bigger, bigger, bigger. Perfect. And well, plays a good thing and shatters her arm, and it's like, oh, damn. So he gets into the no man can kill me. Now, folks, again, it wasn't that only females could kill him.
Yeah.
It's ordinary man can kill him.
Mankind, yeah.
Not the species, no ordinary man. Believe it or not, Aragorn could have killed him. Believe it or not, any really noble heart of a race of men could have killed him.
Well, also he
that
gets
is why
like Mary hits him with the Morgul blade, making him mortal again or killable.
It wasn't Morgul blade; it was his dagger of Noldarine.
Oh, that's right. But he makes him like he stuns him
because he lost his Noldarine dagger when they got captured by the Urkai.
Right.
Yep. It's like the moment.
But it was like he was like double tapped him basically.
Yeah, I mean when he stabs him, you can see like Mary's like really he literally damages his arm though as a result of stabbing the Witch King, and then the blade pretty much just disintegrates.
Yeah. Well, and then it hurts her. That's why she has to go. Like they thought she was dead when they find her, because even though she stabs him in the face, like it sucks her life from her basically, and she needs like King's Foil.
Because when she pulls it out, her arm is like she falls over. Now,
she doesn't in the book. She doesn't get that scene where she gets to say goodbye to her uncle.
No, she doesn't. And that
but I'm glad they put that scene in.
Me too.
Yep, I now go to my father's who's in Mighty Company. I shall not feel ashamed. the fall, or so passes Theoden, son of
I shall
Thengel.
know not.
Yes. Anyway, moving on,
Rest in peace.
we also have the Army of the Dead arriving in Minas Tirith. So we got to cover the
This is gonna be
cameo where he's like, or this is before the main battle, but he's like, you'll go no further, you will not enter Gondor. And freaking,
who are you to deny us passage?
We're not
Legolas.
going line for line.
But-
We're not going line for line. But he tells Legolas to fire a shot. And, well, Gimli, being an asshole that he is, tips the frickin' bow. And we see this frickin' fat tub of lard of a Corsair be like, and it's frickin' Peter Jackson, folks. It's like Orlando Bloom just lived out the greatest fantasy of every actor.
Killing the director. No,
Yes. Exactly. I mean, it's like, whoa, that right? We warned you. And so I love it. He's like, you and what army? This army. Yeah. So, reactions were also the Corsairs are played by the crew, the Weta crew.
Oh,
Good.
nice.
All those guys are all Weta crew.
Good.
And when they were screaming and shitting themselves on, I mean, it's like, dude, be glad you weren't on that boat because it was filled with a lot of shit. Because those people pissed shit all over themselves before they died.
They should have worn their brown pants.
You got a fucking
Like, what the hell is
ghost
this?
army heading at you. You got a ghost army heading at you. I'm sorry. Complete intestinal evacuation is what I call it.
No, because the only sword
Yeah,
or the only
pretty
person
much.
that can command them is commanding them, like against you.
Aragorn.
Like, yeah,
It's like, dude, we can't touch these guys. We could try to kill them all we want. We ain't touching them.
and
They're
the
already
wave
dead.
of them going across the
Yeah.
fields of Pelennor, and then
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
seeing them travel
they
up the
Like
the rings
over
of the city.
Momakill. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're like, yeah,
Oh.
get them.
Yep. And also, Mary also fights a couple of those Haradrim very well. I mean, one guy picks him
Yes,
up. He's
he
like,
does. Him and
slices his freaking throat and then just goes to town on him. It's like, damn, dude, serial killer.
Oh.
But
Right.
probably pissed off.
you fight the way you're able to fight.
My,
And I'll say this.
yeah.
I will say this. He proved Aramor wrong because there's a scene
Correct.
earlier on when
Definitely.
they're on the at the
And
at
he's
the
like,
Town Hall Road. That
I
they're
doubt the-
and he's like,
Length of his arm. Yeah.
I don't doubt his
he's like,
heart.
I
just
do not
the
doubt
length of
his.
arm.
I do not the strength of his heart, just the length of his arm.
Mhm.
And he's like,
Yep. And she defends
war
him.
is the providence of men.
Mhm.
And she just
Mary
proved that
Anna
it's not
proved him
always the
wrong.
case. Yep.
Mhm.
No,
And
Yeah.
I
Sometimes you
absolutely
need a
love that
badass woman.
because after all is said and done, we see, or after the city is saved and whatnot, we see the dead up against him. He's like, release us. Bad idea. The Antites fought these lads despite the fact they're dead. And it's like, you gave us your
Give us
word.
your word.
All right.
Hey.
Go. I hold your oath fulfilled. And it's like, couldn't you have saved these guys for one more battle?
Mhm.
Yeah,
No, because
But
he maintained
gave
his honor.
word. He gave his
made-
word. And
he
gave his
allowed them
word.
to go. Yep.
Mhm.
And they took off. They
respect
took on the biggest part of the army,
Yeah.
like the biggest threat at that particular moment. They saved the
took
city.
out like
you know?
51% of Mordor's forces. 51%, folks. They
Well, they
still have
wiped out
49% to go.
Momakill. They wiped out a good chunk of the orcs. So yeah,
Yeah.
they
saved the
took out a
city.
good chunk of them.
Yeah.
Now
So yeah,
we then see the bowing of everybody before him and whatnot, but also they're still counting kills between Legolas and Gimli. And goddamn, dude, Gimli's response to Legolas taking down a Momakill. That's still
That's
only
still
counts
the
as
count.
one.
This is one.
And
I was
Legolas
laughing.
is like, he's like,
I was
this.
laughing my
This is-
head off.
This is Gimli's look. He's like, he's just looking at him like, that still only counts as one. Like, what the fuck, man? He's just like looking at him like he's stoned. He's like, that still only counts as one. Now that has become such a freaking meme, folks. Luke destroying the Death Star
Still only counts as
It
one.
still only counts as one. And, I mean,
That part was so hilarious. First time I saw it, everyone in the theater when I was watching it, they were laughing their heads off. Why is that included?
It's like,
Oh,
what
God.
the frick, man? And the reason why they had such a low kill count in this one was because the ghosts got ahead of them.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. Although in the
It's like,
extended cut, you do see Gothmog trying to go after Eowyn after he gets wounded by her.
Mhm.
And then
And
eventually
Aragorn just pretty much
it that kills
ends him there.
Gothmog. It's Gimli and Aragorn.
Yep, it's like, hey,
He's like,
with double axes, and it's like, oh shit. And so Aragorn's like, oh yeah, with his sword, and it's like, damn, man. Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon. Still only counts as one. Yep.
no, better. Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker kills a bunch of Jedi in the Jedi Temple. That still only counts as one. Okay, moving on. That's my one. That's my only one joke.
So we then see
We still got
as
so much awesome to get through.
Yeah, Pippin's out searching, and he realizes Mary's out there. But you then hear this this blood-curdling scream of Éomer, and where he sees Éowyn, and man, Carl Urban played that fucking perfect.
So well.
Oh, yeah,
I want to see him at a
cradles her and
convention.
he's screaming out, crying and whatnot. It's like, dude, when you, what was your what was your motivation? Well, we already know your motivation. What was what were you thinking in that moment? If I could ask
Is it
Carl
so
Urban any question,
I would love to ask him.
believable? Yeah.
I would
so
ask him, it's like,
real.
what was going through your mind when they needed you to pretend that you had just literally lost your shit?
Yeah.
Like, what triggered your response? Because I mean, if I could ask Carl, or he's one actor I would actually want to sit down and talk with, because I love him.
And he's such a nerd. He's been in everything nerdy. He's been Judge Dredd. He's been in the Lord of the Rings. He's now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yep.
He was also
he's
in
really
Born
great.
Supremacy. I mean, this dude has been around.
He's pretty great in the Boys.
The Boys,
like,
yeah.
He's great. He's just a great actor.
I mean, I would really love to freaking see him, man. I would really like to actually. He is one actor I would love to freaking sit down with and just talk, or just freaking nerd out with.
Oh, yeah.
Because holy crap. But anyway, getting back into it, we get the Houses of Healing, and don't really need to cover that. It's very, very direct. I mean, Éowyn meets Faramir. They get their nice
also during
moment.
that part, I want to bring up a little quick. We also get to hear a little bit of Liv Tyler also singing in that part for a little bit.
Oh, so that was Liv.
Yeah.
That was her, yeah.
Nice.
She's got a good voice, just like her daddy.
Yep. Well, it's better that she takes after her dad, not her ma, because her ma's a Playboy bunny.
Oh God.
Oh well, that
I think her career has been more successful than
acting.
Why does that not surprise me?
But she's
Steven Tyler would.
Yeah, she was invited on the Colbert Show, and she still remembers her like Elvish lines and stuff. Like this cast must have been super immersed in the books and in because they
had to read those lines thousands of times to get it knocked into their heads.
To get it perfect, yeah. But
yeah, so I mean, I love that you're going through all those ones, but I can't read them all. We got to get going because we are like almost 3 hours in.
Oh, yeah.
But we still got like an hour to go of content. So then we get the we get the Orcs versus the Urks, man. Because Shagrat finds the mithril vest, and we got a greedy Uruk here. And I love it. The scum try to knife me, kill him. And you see all these guys fighting, and you see this one walking in, and it's like, oh, and he just goes in, and one grabs his freaking like piece of meat, or like a giant turkey leg, or MJ Media.
No,
sorry,
leg.
The people in the chat. I mean, I can only read or Sorry.
You can only read
But
so
anyway,
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong with being a Playboy bunny? Nothing's wrong with being a Playboy bunny. It's just, I mean, Liv is not one that should go that route. Let's just say that. Anyway,
Agreed.
giant freaking turkey
No.
leg. It just starts beating on another orc with it. It's like, yes. And then we see one of them just smash or just drop a freaking humongous crate of this round crate right on top of another
I think
orc's
it was
fist.
actually
Like,
a
these
rock.
guys just. No, it was, or could have been. I don't know. But anyway.
It was
Yeah.
a big round
was-
stone, like they would have launched out of one of the ramps.
It's like-
up there.
Murder
Yeah,
holes
like-
or whatever.
And then-
Boom.
yeah.
What I love about
Essentially-
this theme though is like it's not really, yes, it is good versus evil, but like evil fails, and even toward the end, when
They
they're
turn
in
on
Mount
themselves.
Doom, they turn on themselves. So like when
Mm.
Sam comes in, it basically like his way is paved because they've basically all killed themselves.
Mm.
And then that theme is still visited later on, when
Mhm.
Frodo puts on the ring in Mount Doom. Is like it's evil's about to win, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And because it's so corrupt, it corrupts in on itself, and it's
Yeah.
just like this great theme that's explored in the last movie, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah. And so Sam ends up going in, and I love this scene, folks.
Mhm.
Folks,
Yeah.
this
Me and
scene-
Orange were discussing about it before we started.
And these orcs coming down the street, they're like, oh shit. And then they see it's a little freaking, it's like,
Oh,
let's smoke this fool. Well, they learned that this
Is-
fool
Knows how to
fucking
fight.
smokes them.
Mhm.
That's for Frodo
That's
for
for
the Shire,
Frodo.
and that's for my old gaffer.
I love it.
And I love that too, because I asked somebody, is like, I can't remember who it's like, what's a gaffer? It's gardener, folks.
well, and then in a movie sense, it's the guy like
With the
operating the camera, so it's
Yeah.
just funny.
And that's for my old gaffer. You mean the guy behind the camera? Fuck off. But so then we see that Shagrat's still alive, and he's
Mhm.
about to gut Frodo, except that Sam comes in with the blue blade, staggering through him.
Mhm.
And we see that he's like, oh, we feel that, oh shit, all hope's lost, because we never saw Sam take the ring.
Correct.
Mhm.
So when he comes in, he's like,
Right.
beg your pardon, but they haven't. I took it. It's like, and
Only for
in the
safekeeping.
book, in the book, there is no debate about it. He just gives Frodo the ring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel the pull that they show in the
Right.
movie, and
Right.
it's like,
And he wears it in the book too.
Yeah, but he never wore it for long. He only wore it as long as to get into that area to get him out.
To get around,
Mhm.
around the orcs and stuff that were in his way.
Yeah. So he hadn't been corrupted enough by that ring. So then we see that they're basically in Mordor. He's like, look, or there it is, the eye, and you see Sauron's eye just looking all throughout the field, inspecting his army and whatnot. And he's like, there's nothing for it. Let's just get down the hill for starters. And at that point, he's passed beyond Frodo's or
Pass beyond his sight.
Mithrandir's eyes or sight. And it's like, you mean you've been able to see him all this time, and yet you still doubted whether or not he was alive?
Yeah.
Kind of odd writing there, pal. That's why it doesn't work. But anyway, we let's see here. Right. They're talking about they need to give them time enough to get across the field, and we
Mhm.
get the challenge. And he's like, Sauron will suspect a trap. I don't think he'll take the bait. Oh, I think he
I
will.
think he will.
And I love that.
Mhm.
He goes up and he pulls the thing over, and it just flares up. It's like, all right.
Mhm.
Grabs it, and we're not going line for line.
Right.
And he's basically like, I got the sword of the guy who chopped off your fingers. Behold, bitch. And I know that your girlfriend's about to die. Boom, bitch. And that causes him to freaking
The heavens start to
freak out.
shatter.
Yeah. And he shatters the Evan Star. So he's hauling ass across the plains with everybody else. It's like, okay, let me just get a shower before we go. Because his hair looks very well kept in that scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
seeing him ride out with the white tree of Gondor and the 7 stars of the you know, it just it's like having him in his own, like he's now fighting for his own people under his own banner. And it's just, you're like, yeah, the king of Gondor has returned.
Yep. And so then we get the orc inspection and the orc overseer. And this dude is just when he starts whipping Sam and Frodo, Sean and Elijah.
Yeah.
That was pain, man. And so he's like, inspection. And you see this orc overseer just going through, and he spots both of them. And it's like, does this dude like have a third eye or some shit? Because he saw
they
right
should
through
blend in. And they
Yeah.
should, because they're small. You should not be able to see them over the heads of the other ones.
Yep. And I love it's like, start fighting, hit me, start fighting. But you also see the markings on the back of Frodo's neck as this ring is getting heavier and heavier. And it's like,
it's literally cutting into him.
The chain is cutting into him. Yeah.
Because the ring is like, oh, I'm almost home, baby. I'm almost home. And I'm not going to let you destroy me. So they end up getting away from there. And there's this one part after when Sauron's looking across the plain and you see Frodo and Sam get spotted. And it's like, I love that look because you see the pupil go like this after it zeroes in on Frodo. It's like, wait, is that? And then fucking Elijah Wood. Just,
the way how
I'm like, dude, you couldn't have just like fallen over.
Funny.
Instead, that's the most dramatic fall I've ever seen.
He literally did it with style.
I know.
I'm like, dude, quit the drama. Just fall next time. But yeah, so we then get the Mouth of Sauron, played by one of the coolest frickin' insane actors, Bruce Spence.
Yep.
Dude is fucking insane. Plays an insane gyrocopter pilot in Mad Max. He plays the train man in The Matrix. He plays an alien in Revenge of the Sith. The man has seen shit. In this movie, he doesn't see shit. He's seen shit and he's seen other worlds and whatnot. In this movie, he doesn't see shit because he's only a mouth. And boy, is he a mouth with bleeding gums and teeth that are so huge. The fact that they stayed in one piece was unto itself.
Not to mention that voice.
Boy, yeah. Now, they didn't know what to do with him. They wanted to make the mouth sideways, like this, to talk like this. They tried it. It didn't work. They tried his normal mouth. It didn't work. So they decided to increase the size of his mouth by, like, I think it was like 50% or something like that.
Was it?
And I love that. My master Sauron the Great bids thee welcome. And it's like, brush those teeth, dude. Holy shit. Somebody get that man some bleach.
Somebody get that man a gallon of Listerine.
No, man. Listerine won't even cut it. Get him some bleach. But anyway.
Nah, just pull the teeth and start from scratch. No.
There you go. But anyway, so we're not going.
Yeah, but the teeth have to be aesthetic.
As much as we'd love to, we're not going word for word. So he's like, is there anybody here that has the authority? We're not here to treat, dude. We're here to kill. Right. I was told to bring this to you. Does this mean anything to you?
Mm-hmm.
The reaction of Gandalf says it all that they got it wrong, because it's like, he wouldn't have teared up in this moment, not Gandalf the White.
No.
No.
Yes, he would have indeed been upset, but he would not have cried,
Mm-hmm.
because he was tearing up there. And so he's like,
Yeah.
you can have that back. Not that it'll matter. It's like, and I would be telling, it's like, well, fuck, if he's dead, you put it on. We're not losing any more hobbits today. But yeah, the mouth, he spoke for Sauron as if Sauron himself is speaking. That was the point of the mouth of Sauron.
Mm-hmm.
And he is basically Sauron's voice. And he's like, know that he suffered greatly. He's taunting them in order to break their will.
Yep.
And it's so great. And then we get Viggo come up, and he's like, takes more to make a king than a broken elvish blade. Fuck off.
I just love how he does that.
100% gangster.
It is the greatest fuck off moment ever, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He simply points out, I do not believe it. I will not.
I will not.
And we then see Sauron's eye being like looking at in that direction, because he's like, I could have sworn I saw a glint. But wait, my mouth just got shut up, or my mouth just got shut. Who the fuck? I mean, I wish we could, or somebody would do the audio. You know that guy that's like, what the fuck? That guy, it'd be like, as soon as they chop his head off, we see a comedy cut of this, and we see Sauron's eye going, or looking over, like, what the fuck? It would make so much. It would be so freaking funny if they did, you know. And then we see and then when he focuses in on Aragorn, it's like, what the fuck? It would just be so fucking hilarious. But in this moment where they see, Lord of the Rings abridged, exactly, MJ1, exactly. So we then see the moment where we see him walk forward before he does the Leroy Jenkins for Frodo, and it's actually so the way they filmed it was actually supposed to be Sauron coming forth as Anatar, his angelic form, to try to seduce or to try to lure Aragorn in. When he realizes it's not working, he then turns into Sauron and just starts going on after him. Thankfully, they cut that shit out. They have Sauron being like, oh, fuck, you're here. And he calls him by his king name, Elisar. And that's when he's like, for Frodo, Leroy Jenkins! Folks, when you see two hobbits gun it towards the freaking armies of Mordor, and then everybody else just starts going in and overtake them. It is fucking hilarious, but awesome, because these two freaking hobbits were ready to fucking gain revenge, man. It's like, you killed our best fucking friend. We are going to slaughter you.
Yeah.
If we could get to you by the time the rest of the guys get, or by the time the rest of are done, hope that they leave a couple alive at least.
If their body size matched the size of their courage and their heart at that moment, they'd be like three times the size of a troll.
They would have,
you know?
Yes, Kate. And so then we get Sam and Frodo Sam carrying Frodo up there. I mean, we have those lovely touching moments, yes, where he's like, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. And then we see Gollum is back. And that is such a great fight, man, where Gollum essentially got gutted in that moment. And yet he still had enough will to keep fighting. And Frodo's like, this is my ring. I'm getting away from the threat. That was his motivation from getting up that hill, to get away from the threat that wants my ring. Because at this moment, people don't realize it, Frodo is fully overtaken. He is possessive. He is holding that ring as he is running up that hill.
But also, the ring is so heavy at this point. I feel like he was holding it so that the chain wouldn't bend him forward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That as well.
Yeah.
And so we then see as shit's going sideways for the people at the Black Gate. Well, we see the moth come in and the eagles arrive again. And the eagles essentially are like, this is, or there is hope that this will end soon. We're jumping in. We're jumping in because we also see that the 9, or what's left of the 9, the 8 now,
The 8
are coming in, and it's like, okay, we're gonna rip into you. No, you're not. We object. We're flying in, and the Eagles actually
The air support.
Oh yeah, air
Yeah.
support, man.
They definitely tear into those.
The Eagles are coming. The Eagles are coming. So inside the Crack of Doom is where the ring is at its heaviest as well as its most influential. It's like, you don't want to kill me.
Yeah.
You don't want to get rid of me. I can save you. I can keep you safe. And this is basically Frodo's like,
Yeah.
yep, I'm keeping this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Frodo, he failed.
He
Frodo
definitely
failed his quest.
Yeah.
And yes, MJ1 says it. Another reason why Frodo is arguably the weakest character, he failed his quest. Yes, he failed, but he also had enough. He had enough constitution to get to the Crack of Doom.
I just to in defense of Frodo, like, because a lot of people like to shit on Frodo in these moments where he seems weak and whatnot. Like, he got the ring when it was the most difficult to get the ring.
And not only that, he got it to the fucking last steps.
Right.
Mhm.
And
No other person could have done that.
Again, to my point
Mhm.
earlier about, like, okay, it's good versus evil, and evil's winning, but because evil is so corrupt, the corruption of Gollum and their subsequent fight is the only reason why the ring was destroyed. Like,
Yes.
the ring couldn't release its hold on Gollum because of just the nature of it being evil. And then, you know, also, like, going back to the first one, to the first movie, to the Fellowship, Frodo realizes during the Council of Elrond, no one else can take this because of the influence he saw of the ring on everyone else. No one would have been able to get the ring to Mount Doom. So in defense of Frodo, he failed, yes, but he succeeded at the same time.
He had the will to endure it.
Mhm.
Now, folks, he had the will for 17 years without wearing it. Yes. I don't know if he ever heard whispers about it or whispers from it. I don't think he did.
We don't know.
Movie doesn't
We don't know
suggest
about it. Yeah. He just went
But-
on living his life for those 17 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I
But
know
then-
people like to shit on Frodo, and I used to be one of those people too. But
Well, not
the
only
more I've
that,
read the books and the more I've, you know, gotten into it, it's like, I'm gonna step in
This
for
ring-
Frodo on this one.
this ring perceived that it's like, oh shit, this creature is going to destroy me.
Yeah.
From all the way from Imladris,
Yeah.
from Rivendell to the Crack of Doom, that ring has been in his head trying to get him or breaking him down. From
And
the
imagine,
second
like,
it
it's the
realized
source
this man
of
is going to
evil.
destroy
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like,
it's
I'm
like-
going to break you down before you can.
Right. And it's like,
What has
you know, I
Frodo
hate
done? All right, what has Frodo done? Aside from getting
I'm
the
sorry.
ring there,
that's like the main. That was his
That
goal.
in of itself is a feat.
That's
This
yeah,
thing,
that,
this
Mega
thing
Jetty, that
is
is in itself is the ultimate feat.
a portion.
What other
of,
person could have gotten it there?
no
Yeah.
one. Like,
Arguably,
it would have corrupted any of the
Sam,
council.
maybe.
I mean, a lot of
But
people.
it
do
was
love
it
to
was
shit
the
on it.
friendship
No,
between
no.
Sam and Frodo that got it.
corrupted
Like,
any of
yeah,
the-
Sam was an essential part, and Sam, because he didn't feel the pull of the ring, he was necessary. Like, the two of them got
But
it
with all due
there,
respect
but
to
it
him,
was
why
it was
did you
you know
ask?
I kind of like to think of it as like, okay, everybody wants a Sam in their life, but everybody knows a Frodo in their life, and you have to be the Sam to your friends who are Frodos in your life. You
Exactly.
wouldn't poop on your friends who are dealing with depression or dealing with anxiety or dealing with any of these other like horrible things in their life. Like, we have to have empathy and sympathy for Frodo because you know we're on the side of the mountain and he's like, I don't remember the taste of strawberries. I don't even remember any of the Shire. I'm naked in the dark. And Sam goes, oh, well, let's be rid of it then. Like, the state of Frodo's mind at this point is so shattered. He doesn't even remember his life of being a hobbit because he's been
Yeah.
tortured for a year. A whole year.
Yeah.
Just mentally
Mhm.
taxed. So, I'm standing up for Frodo. Like, Frodo did his job.
Now, a lot
Same.
of people, and to compare it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
for 60 years, it's been in Bilbo's hearing. But Bilbo wasn't aiming to destroy it.
Correct.
Mhm.
Bilbo
No.
was just keeping it safe. Where the ring, folks, the ring is sentient. The ring is sentient.
Mhm.
It perceived
It's an
that
extension
this
of
person that
Sauron's
is
will.
carrying me wants to kill me. So I am going to break his will as much as I can to ensure that I survive.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you get me, or if you get me there, I will be at my most powerful, so you can't destroy me.
And that's why, it was going back to what Gandalf had told Frodo, it was like, oh no, it was pity that staved Bilbo's hand. If Bilbo had killed Gollum, the ring would not have been destroyed. So all of these wonderful things, like the friendship of Sam, the pity of Bilbo, the resilience of Frodo, all of these good things are what destroyed the ring.
Yes.
Just as
Mhm.
Galadriel
And
said, for it will be
Hmm.
hobbits that will just
Yeah.
that will
The ship
Decide
And the
to
finally
take
fact
the
will-
that
ring.
of all.
and the fact of the whole theme of like this entire book series and movies is like, even the smallest of persons can change the course of a whole. Like,
Yep.
the hobbits basically saved
Of the
all of Middle
future.
Earth.
Yep. And the thing is, he's also,
Yeah.
or people don't realize, Smeagol was a hobbit.
Mhm.
But a question: did I prefer Frodo fight Gollum over the ring that caused Gollum to fall into the fires in the movie, or Eru Ilúvatar caused Gollum to trip and fall into the fires of Mount Doom in the novel? It's not said that Eru trips him. It's him in his celebration of getting the ring back that causes him to fall.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
that
'cause-
is very anticlimactic, sure, so I see why they changed it for the movie.
Mhm.
But yes, also there is, or I do understand why it was very anticlimactic in the book. It's because, but the lesson of the book is giving into evil can only lead to death.
Correct. Yeah.
Vanya,
It's-
you are 3 hours late.
Very, very.
So it's okay, man. You were probably sleeping. You're 6 hours or 6 or 7 hours ahead of me over there, man. So I don't blame you a bit. But yeah, this movie, or when we see him, or Sam or Frodo's wants, he's not trying to kill Gollum. He wants the ring. That was the choice they made for the movie when he got his finger bitten off, and he's reaching for the ring when he's going after, and they're fighting over the ring over the edge. So after that, but I also like that when he falls in and the ring is just kind of or stuck on like this hardened part of lava.
You're like, fuck.
How the ring is just a thread of hope. And then you see it literally melt into it, and that's when the eye just starts freaking out. And it's like, oh shit, that hurts. That fucking hurts. And it's like, and you just see it.
Yeah, you dead now, boy.
Martin's like, fuck, I can't come back now. So yeah, man. You then see everybody's freaking celebrating, and it's like, and the crescendo of the music coincides with the blowing of the volcano, and I love freaking Mary. He's like, and so
Because he's like,
everybody's
Frodo,
laughter,
Frodo, and then he's like, oh shit, Frodo just got
it's like
exploded.
everybody's laughter just turns to abject horror as it's like, oh fuck. But also what we didn't talk about was when he freaking puts the ring on. I love how they actually show Sauron's eyes like, yeah, or this is looking good. He's just about, what the fuck? My ring? It's, I mean,
Well,
I love that jerk
like he
reaction.
was just
reaction.
about to win though, because like let's say Gollum was dead and he had walked out of Mount Doom, he called back like because they're fighting
He calls
the
back the seven,
Nazgul.
or he calls back the
Yeah,
8, yeah.
yeah, he calls back
And they beeline it
the 8.
towards Mount Doom.
If let's say, you know, for the sake of argument, he was like so close to winning, because if he had walked out of Mount Doom, he would have gotten caught by one of the 8. It would have been back in the hands of Sauron, and that's the end of Middle Earth. You know, so he was so close to winning. Like,
it's like, God damn it, I was so close, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling hobbits.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, Jack Nicholson. Fun fact, folks: Jack Nicholson walked out of Lord of the Rings, and Elijah Wood was talking with him one time. He's like, yeah, didn't you die?" Or he's like, "What? You didn't see the end of it?" And he's like, "Didn't you die in the movie?" "Yeah, I mean, I kind of did when I went off into the Grey Havens." He's like, "What the fuck are you even talking about? I mean, didn't you die on the mountain?" "Oh no, man, they had like 20 minutes left of it." He's like, "Oh no, man, when it faded away, I just freaking, or when the screen faded, I was out of there."
That is my only thing about that movie is like it fades out like 4 times, and you're like,
yeah.
Okay.
It's like, dude, you're fading out. It's like, okay, we're finally done. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, we're finally done. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, we're finally, what the fuck? But yeah, man, they freaking get to the coronation, and Skyhound, I do believe you have the translation for the song that Aragorn sings. You don't have to recite it in Elvish, but what does it say in English?
I have it too.
It says, "Out of the great sea to Middle Earth I am come. In this place will I abide, and my heirs unto the ending of the world."
Nice.
That's pretty
Beautiful.
much what it says.
Yeah. And so then we see that
That was beautiful.
Arwen has come with a banner. Or now this is actually something that is a courting ritual, where you bring the banner of the one you are meant to marry to them, that you are meant to craft a banner for them, to stitch a banner. So that was nice that they did that. And then this was a pickup when Viggo had to kiss Arwen. He shoved his tongue right in there, man.
Yeah, he went open mouthed. Yeah.
Yep. You actually see him go, oh, it's like, dude, really? I mean, not to mention when Sam marries Rosie, Viggo was at the wedding, not shown at the wedding, but he grabs freaking Billy Boyd and just tongues him too at the wedding. And I'm like, okay. Viggo,
I do have to mention when he's walking through and like acknowledging everybody at the coronation, and he gets to the hobbits and he goes, "My friends, you bow to no one." I cannot watch that scene without tearing up.
I mean, that scene is like, Frodo's like, I don't know why you guys are all freaking bound to me, man. I fucking failed. I'm a fucking failure. I couldn't get rid of the fucking ring. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's a nice scene. And you also see that freaking Queen Eowyn and kind of a King Faramir. He's no longer Steward of Gondor. He's now basically marrying the Queen of Edoras.
Well, in the books, he becomes Aragorn puts him in charge of Osgiliath.
Yes.
And Éomer becomes the king of Éomer becomes the king of Rohan.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And that
guys,
might still be
you
the
know.
case in the movies too, but they never say so explicitly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still an hour ending to this freaking movie. I'm not complaining,
Yep.
but
Yeah. And then
Because you need all
we will-
that.
yeah. The Scouring of the Shire, because we are over 3 hours here, folks. The Scouring of the Shire we will discuss in the appendices next week. But there is a funny little meme that they make with with Elrond. This is recently, by the way, where it's like after the face you make when you finally realize your daughter's moving out of the house after 3,000 years. Which is fucking hilarious.
the thing I love about like when the hobbits return to the Shire and they're all like trying to sit around have a beer, and none of the hobbits, Hobbiton, is going on like normal, and you get that voiceover from Frodo. It's like some wounds just don't heal. Like, how do you go back to normal life after you've seen so much death and destruction? So it's like the PTSD that he had. So it's like he had to go to the Grey Havens because there was no other way for Frodo to heal from
Yep.
that. So when he's like saying
Also-
goodbye to his friends, and you finally see him get on the boat and he turns back to them and smiles, that's like the only moment since he's gotten the ring of like
That he's
relief
actually
and
given a good smell.
yeah, like it's fine. Like he's finally given freedom from the ring and from like all of those evil things that they had to endure,
I will
which
say,
is like the best ending that they could have done. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. MJ.
I
Yeah.
love this
Absolutely.
line.
Go ahead.
I love this line by Gandalf. I will say, do not weep, for not
I will
all
not
tears
say do not weep.
are for not all tears are an evil.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I use that for a funeral
And-
homily for a friend.
Yep.
Love that line.
And but I also do like at the bar before Sam decides to go up and propose, where they're both or they're looking at everything around them, but they're also very silent because it's like, well, folks, we have seen some serious shit. And I don't think anybody around us can really measure.
What we went through.
Seeing the comment, which one? The source of Iluvatar caused Gollum to trip, fell into the fires from the letter of J.R.R. Tolkien stated. Well, son of a bitch.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it was Iluvatar's will.
I mean, because Iluvatar wanted men to take
That
over
would make
Middle
sense.
Earth. Like, yeah. And
Yep.
like humans were created by Iluvatar, like the elves and everything else were created by the other gods.
Because now I can
if
just
you wanna
imagine
call-
Iluvatar. I can just imagine Iluvatar right now, or during that moment when Gollum's trip, and he's like, "I do not want this guy getting out of here, so I'm going to just raise that rock up just a tiny bit."
Sure.
And well, yeah, and there he goes. Yep, thank me. Yeah, thank me. Goodbye.
Thank God. Thanks myself.
Yep. And okay, that highlighted itself after I just unhighlighted it. So sorry. Didn't mean to double highlight. But yes, thank you, Neozok. But yeah, that moment and he finishes the Lord of the Rings book. And what people don't realize is 111, it's basically 20 freaking years because the 17 years later, so he's 128. And they spent 4 years in the Shire after they got back.
Mhm.
So Bilbo is 131 or 130, or yeah, he's 131, 132 when he sails to the Grey Havens. Now, there is also a dark ending that somebody has put on social media, folks, where
Yeah.
Frodo gets on ship, turns to smile, and he reveals that he has the fucking ring. And it's like, now, folks, when I see Frodo smiling in that movie, at home when I'm watching this movie, I can't help but thinking that freaking Elijah Wood is ripping the biggest fucking fart when he's looking at his friends and smiling. Because it is like, oh my God, I'm just getting rid of such a burden here, folks. And it's like, yep, I'm leaving this one behind for you, folks. And then they sail off. Joking, obviously. But it is a nice little moment. And we then get the ending. Now, Annie Lennox singing, folks, as much as I like Annie Lennox singing Into the West, there is one other singer that I honestly think does a better job singing it. And that is Peter Hollins.
Enya would also have been a good pick.
Yes.
Enya did May It Be, and she did it perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
But Peter Hollins, man, he's an a cappella singer on YouTube. Dude does great work.
I know.
He does great freaking work. And I think that his version of Into the West
cover for Skyrim.
Yeah. He has done some great work, and man, did he do an excellent freaking Into the West. I tear up. When I'm going to bed or when I'm like just needing to like just veg, I put that song on. So we have come to it. If he had the ring, Frodo would never have reached Valinor. He would have been consumed by a whirlpool, courtesy of the Valar. That is very true. But it was just a joke anyway, Bob. And but yes, we have come to the end of it at last, folks. To the end of all things, as Frodo told Sam, who would, or if he could have married anybody, he would have married Rosie Cotton dancing. And well, he ended up marrying her and having like 8 kids, something shit. And we then see Sam coming back, and I like how they ended it on Sam, where he's like, "Well, I'm back."
They should have had him move into Bag End. They should have had him move into Bag End the way that the books did, but he has the yellow door or whatever.
Yeah, it was his own, or he had his own place. And they should have had it as Bag End because it makes sense for it. One of those children of his is his actual kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which
the little girl that he's carrying?
The youngest. Yeah. Yep, it was the youngest one. Which was nice. Also, Sean Astin's wife was there on set during the wedding between him and Rosie because she wanted to make sure that Sam did not get too freaking kissy-kissed with Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just making a normal kiss, man.
Was she worried about him or was she worried about the actress?
Oh, she wanted to kill she was ready to kill the actress if there was any tongue.
Okay, so she was worried about the actress, not worried about Sean. That's why.
Well, she was, yeah. I mean, I do believe that he said, "Yeah, my wife was there for that wedding." Letter 192. I will look that up. Thank you, Neozoic. Also, in Lego Lord of the Rings, as Frodo sails away, the Fellowship, including Force Ghost Boromir, wave at him. Now, also,
okay.
Years later, Gimli would be the only dwarf allowed to sail to the Undying Lands because Legolas would get in a sailboat and he would sail them out. And it'd be like, I could just imagine like a kind of a rough chop of waves being like, the other Valar are thinking like, do we really want to let this dwarf in? And Eru's like, that one deserves it, man. Let him through. Stop giving him shit in the waves. Just let him frickin' sail in. I can actually imagine that going down.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's like, do we really want to let a dwarf, something that wasn't our father's creation, through? Yes, because he was created by Aule, and Aule had the noblest intentions. Although the letter describes Iluvatar, the writer of the story, not Tolkien himself, just to clarify. Well,
yeah, that's
sounds like
God is basically telling us a story.
Yeah, nice. Iluvatar is basically
it's
like,
almost
hey, here's how.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
No, I was
No,
just saying, like, Iluvatar's like love letter to the creation that he had made to be in Middle Earth and to take charge.
Yep. And
It's almost as if Tolkien was pulling a one above all from Marvel, because the one above all is essentially the god of Marvel.
yeah.
If y'all get that reference at all.
Oh, I
Yep.
do. And so
Okay.
there we have it, folks. At the end of all things, how would we rate them in order?
I don't know if you
Oh,
can,
that's
because
such a
it's all one
difficult
story.
question.
That's
I
tough.
mean, yes, it's 3 different parts, but it's all one story.
And even Tolkien, when
I
he's
mean-
talking about his whole story of Middle Earth, like the Silmarillion and all of the Book of Lost Tales and stuff, he sees it as one continuous story. He doesn't see it as
Mhm.
parts.
Separate.
Like he obviously there was the published works before he had died and then the published works after, but like the Fall of Gondolin, The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, The Silmarillion, The Book of Lost Tales, he saw that as one continuous story for Arda. He didn't
Yep.
see it as broken up or anything. So it even just for like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's all one story, and his publisher made him cut it up into 3 books because they were like, "There's no way you're publishing like a 12,000 page novel." Like, but
And yet they've done it
that's-
numerous times over,
y-
and it has sold.
right. Oh, for sure. But as
I
far as like
have.
rating this movie, oh my god, like it's hard to say like there's a perfect movie, but this movie deserves every single Oscar it got, and in my mind, Return of the King is like 20 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But as far as like movie critic, whatever,
It is
it's a 10 out of 10
plus to the infinite power.
for sure. And it's still like 20 years later, you can still watch it, and it's still wonderful from beginning to end.
You still get emotional. You still get choked up, and we've talked about it and everything over the last 3 weeks, soon to be 4 weeks
Yeah.
when we cover the appendices next week. I mean, these movies are the modern equivalent in every conceivable way to Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, 10 Commandments, Ben-Hur, King of Kings. This, I know this is I'm touching rarefied ground here, but I'm even going to include something a little more modern, the Star Wars trilogy.
Mhm.
I mean, for Pete's sakes, this trilogy of movies.
These movies are
Is nothing
better than
short.
the original trilogy of Star Wars. I'm sorry.
No, and
They're
better.
I'm no. I take no offense to that. I do agree. I acknowledge that the original trilogy has its issues, but I'm just saying, in terms of the impact it had on modern culture, on cinema in general, the movies I all
Yeah.
listed all had an
Yeah.
impact, but this one deserves to be in that group. This is one of the greatest
The
series of
bastion
movies
Mhm.
in the history of cinema.
Well,
In the history
and
of cinema. And that's
and
going back for
yeah,
decades upon end.
for sure. I think this is the only successful trilogy where every single movie
MJ, get that reference. I actually quoted earlier this evening.
the trilogy is great
Yeah.
from beginning to end.
Because
The
it was
second
taken
movie
from a
doesn't.
source material.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's just phenomenal. Yeah. Like
Go ahead, Kate. Go ahead.
it's hard to compare anything to it because it's, I believe, just cinematically
There's nothing
and
like
theme
it.
wise, it's the most. Yeah, there's nothing like it, and it's the most successful trilogy as far as like, okay, you get the opening of Fellowship, that's wonderful, that establishes the story, that creates tension, and then the second one builds on the story but doesn't. It's not any less than, and then the ending is just so satisfying. It's hard to to find another trilogy like that. Like The Godfather couldn't even pull that off. You know, with their Godfather 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That
Godfather 3
trilogy is
regarded
overrated. As much as
I have a friend who
as
is
much as I said, or I reviewed the Godfather movies. A lot of people say that Godfather 2 is a masterpiece and it's better than or it surpasses the original. Honestly, The Godfather, the first one, is better than the second one, in my opinion.
Correct. Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
but honestly, folks, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is the best cinematic trilogy out there, period.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as a person who has been a fan of Star Wars since I was 2 years old and saw the trilogy back then.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even grow up reading the books. I knew of the books, but I never read them. These movies incentivized me to want to read the books and delve deeper into it. I have the Lord of the Rings, I have the Hobbit, I have the Silmarillion. I have read the Silmarillion so many times over, it is ridiculous. I mean, I love that book. It is mythically rich. It is so full of lore. It is just... This is a word I don't think is used often anymore. It is spellbinding and just how much it enraptures you into the world that Tolkien created. And I'll talk about that more next week. I don't want to go on for too long because we're at over 3.5 hours now. But
yeah, I will say the world
enough
building that
accolades
Tolkien
cannot
had
be
is,
healed.
yeah, for sure. And I think Tolkien set the gold standard for world building, and so because they stayed really true to the source material for the most part, it's hard for it not to be amazing, because the world building and the lore, like you just mentioned, is just it's just amazing. It's the gold standard. Tolkien is the gold standard for world building fantasy.
And anyone else that tries is a pretender and a failure, because let's be honest here, ROP is an utter failure.
True.
It does not even deserve to be referenced by its full name. It's ROP. Or SOP if you prefer. Or POS if you prefer.
Really like the movie, yeah. I see your point, MJ. Because we've been like bouncing everywhere, to be frank.
You can't help but do so, because a movie like this, there's so much behind every single scene and every piece of dialogue and every storyline and every character arc and everything else. That's why I'm not tooting my own horn. That's why I recommend it to Orange and Kate. Let's do a fourth stream. Let's talk about all the stuff we couldn't get into the main ones. That's why we're going to be back next week, guys.
Yeah.
So, this is the end of the main part of the reviews, but be here next week for the appendices, where we get to cover everything else that we couldn't cover the last 3 weeks. Hit that reminder when it comes up, as soon as Orange hits it, and be here next week, because you're going to get a crash course if you haven't already. If you don't know anything about Tolkien, tune in next week. Watch these 3 streams and then watch next week. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, hang on. Just give me like 2 minutes, roughly. Be right back.
Very nice.
It's huge.
Oh yeah.
You're muted, Orange.
One edition, folks. Yeah. The all-in-one book, Appendix F, Index, all the way to freaking maps.
Oh, you want maps? Oh, hang on. stay.
Holy crap, dude.
There's my copy of the
Notes on the
Silmarillion
maps.
paperback.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I got
Quick
mine.
off-topic question.
Upstairs,
People
too.
say that Dune series is the Lord of the Rings quality of sci-fi. Do you agree with the statement? What other answers do you have?
No.
Yes.
Oh, so the
Yes.
Dune series, didn't the
There's
author
my-
die before he could finish them, and then somebody else took up the endings or whatever?
He couldn't finish the last book. Frank Herbert couldn't finish Chapter House, but his son finished Chapter House. Here's my copies of
Okay.
Lord of the Rings box
Beautiful.
set with an article on the side.
Definitely
This
going to have to start
is
this book over.
Here's my illustrated edition of The Hobbit, and it is actually autographed, not from me. My wife got this off of eBay. It's actually autographed by Alan Lee.
Nice. The
Somebody.
book I have for The Hobbit is the 75th anniversary edition.
Nice.
Nice. And then
I
I,
don't
got
have it
this
with me
many
right
years
now,
ago. It is the maps of Tolkien's
Maps.
Middle Earth.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And it's
Anyway,
got,
folks,
sorry.
go
I
ahead.
had
Keep
to.
going.
You pulled yours out. I had to pull mine out.
I only pulled out my Lord of the Rings book
the-
because
That's
I
what he
have the
said.
Silmarillion and I have The Hobbit, and that's pretty much it. I have actually 2 editions
It
of The
has-
Hobbit: the movie cover edition and the 75th anniversary edition. And then I also have the
This
one
includes-
volume edition. But thank you to everybody in the chat: Neozoic, Mega Jetty, Anime Night, Vanya, Darth Zathra, Price is Right review, Hooper.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around with
else?
us, you guys.
Yes, thank you for sticking around as much as you did
Yeah, guys.
and as
you're
long
welcome.
as you did. Freaking awesome people, folks. Thank you so much. Make sure that you smash the like if you haven't. And
Yes.
I wanted to go as long as I could because I really do need the Cayman Rider. Thank you for stopping in as well.
Mhm.
I need the watch time because honestly, it keeps on decreasing on me, and it's starting to fuck Norris. Thank you for joining in.
Mhm.
Who else? Oh, that is as far as it goes. Oh no, wait. It is going a little there we go. Yes, that is everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure that you smash the like. And next week we will be doing the appendices, or a version of the appendices for us, discussing stuff that we hadn't
Yes.
gotten to that we would want to discuss. And yeah, then after that, we will most likely be doing the Hobbit trilogy extended. Because I know
Don't have the
not
extended, I
everybody
have the
agrees with it.
theatrical.
I do have but yeah, we will be discussing those. And Kate, you in for those ones?
Let me get back with you.
All right.
I'm
Anyway,
still in the middle of my move, but
Yeah.
I will be here next week. But let me get back with you on the Hobbits.
All right. And thank you to Skyhound, Ambassador, and Kate, Nerd with the Cigar, for joining for the Hack Crew this time. So yeah. Also for me, Tuesday, my next stream is Tuesday, where I'll be discussing the Bourne Supremacy for Jason Bourne Tuesdays in November. The only one I will not be discussing of the Bourne series is Legacy, because, well, Legacy doesn't have Bourne in it. And Wednesday is the Ones and Twos with Mara, where we will be discussing Secrets of the Ooze. Thursday is Singles on my channel, where it's Shin Godzilla. And that is my plan for this week. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Ambassador, Skyhound, you guys got anything going on?
Well, as I did mention, though, I know that next week it's the first anniversary of the passing of Jason David Frank for all you Power Rangers fans. not only am I going to be doing a quick tribute video for him, but I am likely to be doing a live stream for those, fans of him, sharing memories and all of that. Just that general discussion for the most part.
All right. Ambassador?
Actually, starting this week. I'm not sure exactly when yet, but I'm going to be starting my No Sequel November review series. Be covering some great 90s films, action films, spy films. Going to be covering Virtuosity, starring Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Going to be covering also Crimson Tide, also starring Denzel Washington, and of course Viggo Mortensen, one of his earliest roles, and Gene Hackman, as well as Enemy of the State, and also a little other 90s film with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Last Action Hero, and another kind of forgotten gangster noir film with Lawrence Fishburne and Andy Garcia called Hoodlum. So that'll be coming up starting this week and going in through the rest of the month.
Ready. And with that, folks, thank you all again for joining in. Y'all are freaking amazing and beautiful people. This has been Orange Hat, y'all, and his Fellowship of the Orange Hat. Y'all have a wonderful night, and always remember, stay humble.